Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Do We Know Them, episode 234. Hello, Lilbert. What is it that they call you, Lilbert?
Just Chelsea does.
Okay, just Chelsea. Got it. Hello, Lily. How are you today?
You know, honestly, I've had weirder nicknames, so I'll take it.
Yeah, period. Leader Lay is up there.
Did I tell you? The other one was from those same friends as James.
James?
Yep.
Love that.
Because another girl used to call me Lillian James, like as if it was like my full name.
I remember that.
And I'm like, it's not. You asked how I was.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
I'm good. How are you?
Period. Okay. Me too. Well, guys, today we have quite the episode because it's a one topic episode. We're going down the rabbit hole. You know how we have those episodes that are titled that because it's one topic and we're just like diving deep into it. And this it needed to be that because we have covered Anna Paul in the past, but let's just say there's a lot more to cover.
Well, and you brought up to me yesterday that it feels like Coachella is right around the corner. It's in like a week from, You know, oh my God, in a week I'll be there. All of the deep dives are happening like at the same time. So
it's insane.
This is a one topic episode. I know we keep teasing the Elizabeth Teckenbrock thing, but this felt more pressing. And also there's been more updates about Elizabeth and my Google
and then
Doc
things literally
insane.
Just keep happening with other people or other things that are current. And then we're just like, okay, I guess we pushed the
Can't keep
Elizabeth
track
thing
of it
further.
all.
Yeah, it's just a lot. But the reason we needed to make this a one topic episode is because the content that we're covering is extensive. Okay, we have Mikaela Testa, who is an ex-friend of Anna Paul and an ex-girlfriend of her brother Atis Paul, who came out with around 5 hours of content between both of her podcasts, and there's more to come.
Yeah, and she's also the one that was the catalyst for why we were talking about her last time because she called her out. But that was in a TikTok that was only like a few minutes long. These were hours.
Yeah, and if you know nothing about Anna Paul, we are quickly going to give you a little bit of a preface, and this is going to cover most of the issues that everyone has with her. Mikaela specifically, like I think she kind of summarizes a lot of the issues with Anna Paul, and then Veruca Salt does as well. Veruca Salt is to Anna Paul what Nancy Grace is to Casey Anthony. Like it is like just foot on the neck, get down, bitch, which honestly I respect.
Like Veruca always has quite the opinion, and you know she
does.
She's not usually too far off.
Yeah, so we have covered all of them before in a few episodes. We'll link those below, but this is going to kind of cover it all because Anna Paul's finally addressing things, and we did cover her recent addressing, which was a non-addressing. We felt like she felt broke, some could say.
I do not lie about the fact that I grew up broke. When I say I grew up broke, that is my experience. That is how I felt. When I can hear my parents talking in the kitchen that the budget for the groceries that week is $30, it makes me feel broke. When we can't afford school uniforms, it makes me feel broke. When I'm 11, when I'm 10, and all my friends can afford something and my parents can't, it makes me feel broke.
Anna Paul, if you don't already know, is a creator that honestly, up until this whole thing with Mikaela, I had not heard a bad thing about her. She was actually quite the opposite. Like it seemed like a cookie cutter version of an influencer.
And yet, I feel like people pointed this out last time we covered it because you kept saying she was family friendly. And it's like, she is family friendly presenting on like Instagram, but she also has an OnlyFans and that's like why she's rich.
That's a big issue. Yeah. But I mean, it's actually interesting to see that the persona she created on TikTok is somebody who like talks in a baby voice that she doesn't have, is very like, haha, here we go, we're lovey-dovey and here's my family, always giggling, always being quite immature for her age. And then now we see all of like the underbelly of that between her and her brother, because she also has her brother and family on social media, and everything she showed of them is like very cookie cutter as well. So she has always presented as unproblematic.
And what's crazy is that like we can't include the clip because we actually got flagged for it last time and I had to cut it out.
Oh yeah.
That it was a news interview with her and Aram, and usually OnlyFans, like you say OnlyFans, and everyone's kind of like, oh my God, how inappropriate. But the way that she has been able to weirdly brand it as being just like a subscription service, as if it's like Patreon, and it's like, that's not what OnlyFans is. In this news interview, what she does is like they ask her what OnlyFans is for like, because it's like the people watching the news don't necessarily know. And she's like, well, you know, some of the content is for 18 older, but like people do all kinds of content. And then she tries to like really normalize it as if it's not what it is. Because they're like, oh my God, you're like a self-made millionaire. How did you make all your money? And she doesn't want to say, I sold pictures of myself online.
Right.
So she instead just acts like people just want to see her content. And that's just how she does her subscriptions.
Yeah. And it's interesting that she had that demeanor on her news interview because it very much seems like she almost tries to like hide the OnlyFans part of her life from TikTok. She has talked about it in the past, but I will say in the last few years, she has like very much shied away from talking about it. The only time she really does is when she does things like her giveaways, quote unquote, which we covered in an episode where essentially she was saying, hey guys, you have a chance to win anywhere from $10 to $1,000. All you have to do is subscribe to my OnlyFans. And it's like, is that legal?
Well, that's exactly why that was so problematic, because she doesn't really advertise her OnlyFans, and she does make it seem like to maybe younger audience members or like just to the general public that it isn't her selling like racy photos of herself.
Yeah, but it very much is. And she does address this. I do want to be clear because she talks about pretty much all of this. And if she doesn't talk about it, Mikaela talks about it. And if she doesn't, Veruca does. So we're going to cover everything. But that specific part about the age, she shows her demographics. Because a lot of people have accused her of catering, because she's so quote unquote family friendly, catering to a younger audience and then doing giveaways on OnlyFans. Like that just seems like that should not coincide. But she refutes that, and we'll get into that in a second. So I think that the best plan of action to sort through this, because it is a lot, is to start with Mikaela, because we had talked about how Mikaela had jumped on TikTok and Instagram and called Anna out for certain things. But on this podcast, she goes into depth quite a bit. And I will say a lot of it was just like her recounting of things, but she also did provide receipts. So I kind of focused on the parts with receipts that I felt we needed to talk about, and that also Anna was gonna then refute. You know what I mean? So I tried to keep it condensed as much as possible.
Because I mean, without the receipts, it's kind of just like perpetuating more of the same, like quote unquote rumors, or maybe not rumors, that everyone
it's
has
just
been
her
saying.
experience, right? Yeah. So then she knew that when she was doing the podcast, she's like, okay, so obviously I have to come with receipts, and she says it multiple times, because if I don't, people are just not going to believe me.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have a lot of issues with Mikaela that we will also get into, because Mikaela was not only Atis Paul's ex-girlfriend, she was Anna Paul's like best friend,
and
essentially,
roommate.
it seemed like, and roommate. Yeah. And so a lot of the bad things that she's accusing Anna of, she was present for and witnessing. And so a lot of people judged her for that. I think we even brought that up, where we're like, so you were just sitting by her when she said these things?
But then also why we brought it up is because you found that clip where it's her talking on a podcast where she's like saying that and it wasn't that old. And it's like, she loves Anna. Anna's the best person ever. And she's great.
With Anna and I, like, we're always going to be friends. I feel like there's never a reason for us, like, not to be friends. Obviously, like, don't like her brother, like, don't not a huge fan of him or whatever it is. But you know, I obviously wish him well and stuff. And like, Anna and I were friends before Atis and I started dating. Obviously Atis and I knew each other first, but Anna's a lovely human being, and obviously love her forever, and I'm always here for her. And yeah, we're still friends. Like, we still text each other and stuff, and you know, she's texted me saying like she wants to hang out in Europe, and like I've texted her like advice, just, you know, every now and then. We're still friends.
That's nice that you can keep that friendship after everything that's happened.
Yeah, after everything, all the stuff. Yeah, we're still friends, and she's always letting me know that she's always gonna be there for me.
Which also comes into play, I think, a little later, where it's like, when did you suddenly decide that you wanted to expose her?
There was a few things, yeah. And then also, what was that sexy comment on the Instagram? Do you remember that?
Anna had commented on one of her most recent pictures, and it was like 2
days before she called her out.
It was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, so it very much was like, what is going on? Who's telling the truth? So Mikaela decided to sit down and basically just tell her story. Now, there are a lot of parts of this that I am not going to include. I may summarize some parts of it, but a lot of it is very triggering, and a lot of it is her story to tell. So we will link her podcast down below, but I just don't feel right like showing it and then like reacting to like her deepest, darkest trauma. You know what I mean? It just doesn't feel necessary.
And again, it's like you said, it's 5 hours.
It is 5 hours. Yeah,
so
it's impossible to touch on everything.
Obviously not going to cover everything. So definitely we'll link below and you can watch the full thing.
She starts off by explaining like kind of how she even came to be friends with Anna, and then eventually Atis's girlfriend.
I met Atis and Anna online on Instagram in 2015. So Atis was following me on social media, and then Anna soon followed me after, and Atis would be flirting with me when I was 15 years old online, and Anna would be like friendly with me online. So we, you know, followed each other on all the apps. We'd voice message each other every day. So yeah, like that weekend that I met them, and the plan that, you know, Atis and I had to spend together, it was just a lot of like love bombing, a lot of urgency to kind of like get me to come and live at his house and like be sisters with his sister and be part of his family and hang out. It was just like very, very, very coercive. And my alarm bells were going off. My shitty alarm bells were saying, please, Mikaela, like, please don't go to this man's house. And fucking hell, like, I could have saved myself all the fucking shit if I had have just turned around then and there when my stomach was telling me no. Of course, I went. The reason why I was more willing to go to his house and see this through was because I was so close with Anna. I mean, we were voice messaging back and forth almost every single day. So I felt like I knew her very well. I felt like I knew him very well. And what did I do? I agreed to go. And when I did say that I had doubts, obviously, because of Atis's very coercive, love bombing type behavior, when I had told him that I was having doubts, this is what he sent me.
Bring all your stuff. Even if you hated it and you start hating me and you don't want me, stay for 2 days and then just leave. You're not tied down here. I'm not holding you hostage. Just come see me a little bit. And if you hate it, you can leave. If you love it, you can stay. You're welcome either way. That rhymed. I should be a rapper, but nah.
Wow.
So, red flag is like, I'm not holding you hostage. Just come on over. Like,
like,
okay, sir.
to move in?
So
Like, what?
it seems like he is the type, and it seems, I mean, literally, this is not just Mikaela's recounting. Like, he has multiple ex-girlfriends who say the same thing about him. There is really not an ex-girlfriend that's like, what? He's awesome. Like, what are you talking about? And mind you, again, this is Anna Paul's brother that she features in content and like heavily pushes online and has gained him a following.
And says is like the best person she knows and like is just the sweetest and
her
most
best friend.
generous. And yeah.
Well, honestly, I talked about it when we discussed her and her brother being like, quote unquote, too close, because a lot of people point that out because like he
People
supposedly
say
takes her
they're
OnlyFans
incestual.
pictures.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a lot of things. I talked about how I have a very close relationship with my brother. But the difference is like even my brother, who I genuinely, he's my best friend, if he someone, let alone multiple people, if one person came out about him, it would just like destroy me. I don't even know how I would heal from that, how I would deal with it. But like to have multiple partners coming out and then you are repeatedly excusing his behavior, which we have pretty much proof of.
But not even
that's
just
insane.
that. Like on top of it, it's that she is the reason that these girls are even getting as entangled with him as they are.
Correct.
Because she is befriending
She's
them.
like,
and this whole like, oh, you be my sister. What? Like that is so weird.
And not only that, we have also proof of like when the gets really bad, because right now we're going to get into like receipts that prove that that relationship was absolutely abusive on Atis's end. When we get into that, we're also going to get into Anna dealing with it by like trying to get the girl to stay. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's insane.
It seems like it's not just her excusing the behavior. It's her like, and it's kind of a dramatic comparison, but I was going to say she's kind of like acting like his Ghislaine Maxwell.
You're right. Yeah, no, it definitely feels that way. And also not to jump ahead, not to spoil anything, but in Anna's response, one of her statements that I find very interesting is that Mikaela, in her 5 hours of content, showed 0 receipts of Anna except for her public Instagram photos. She says, like, all she showed was my public Instagram photos. Like, that's all she had on me. And I'm like, what? Did we watch the same video? I don't think that's true.
Is that in both video, like in both of the episodes?
In both episodes, she shows text messages from Anna. She shows unedited footage. So I don't want to jump ahead again, but we talked about the video of Alice, and we're going to get into Alice and that story. Mikaela has the unedited footage of that video because it was on her laptop.
Oh, yeah, no, I remember that. Well,
So
I
it's
was
bad.
just going to say, even if
like,
she
that's a
wanted to
receipt.
like pretend like she didn't see the second one, if maybe there was only receipts in the second one.
No,
but it's like,
there isn't
no,
both.
she waited also till the second one to even respond.
Oh, she says she did that because every woman should be able to just tell their story.
Like Mikaela should be able to tell her story.
Yeah, she just wanted to let her like speak her truth. Anyway, so jumping back, this is receipts of the toxic relationship that Mikaela had with Atis.
We need the receipts, right? What's a story without a receipt? So here's some of the messages where in 2020, I had sent a message to my friend Bailey and I said, I need help. She said, with what, babe? I said, Atis has just a and his blood is all over the walls. He stole my phone and laptop. Bailey said, wait, what? What do I do? What's the address? I said, I just found my phone. He doesn't know. So this was when I was in the other room using my phone. She said, should I call cops? I said, I'm going to get an Uber out of here. She said, should I tell his sister? He you. She said, please do. I'm scared. I'll call cops if I don't hear from you for a while. Why is his blood everywhere? Mick, get a taxi if you have to. What's going on? Do I call the cops? I'm going to message Anna. I said, he took my phone again. He's crazy, because that's when he took it again. And then I had gotten it back because I wasn't responding to her for a while. She was freaking out. She was texting Anna. Anna was not replying to anyone, of course, because she was too busy dealing with the situation at hand. She said, fuck, I thought he might have. I'm so scared. I messaged Anna. I'm freaking out. I said, absolutely psycho. She said, I feel sick. I said, unsend the message. I'm not going to talk to either of them. She said, shit, I unsent it. Where are you now? Did you get your phone back? I said, I'm in the bedroom. She said, if Anna is trying to justify whatever he has done, it's unjustifiable. I said, blood all over walls. She said, from him, how? I said, Anna is very manipulating.
And it does seem like in that picture, she showed like proof that there was like blood on the walls, or maybe it was a video or something, but it seemed like she actually sent proof, which obviously we don't need to see. But it very much seems like in all of his crazy shit, Anna was like front and center trying to either calm down her brother or excuse the shit that her brother was doing. And there is a certain point, even if your brother suffers with mental illness or whatever you want to say this is, there is a certain point where it's like, we need to take action, and I'm not going to defend you, and I'm not going to help you anymore. You know what I mean?
And it's not her job to be like the mediator, to be like, oh, no, he didn't mean it.
Multiple
it's
people
okay.
were the fucking mediator here. It wasn't just her. It was also Glenn, which is Anna Paul's ex-boyfriend, who she bought a car for. Mikaela gets into just like how involved Glenn had to be, because when he would hear the going down, he would either have to go in and try to calm down Atis, and it just seemed like such a toxic fucking environment. I mean, that's an understatement. Honestly, it seemed absolutely horrifying, and it's insane to think that that is someone who is online just pretending they're like the squeakiest clean family known to man. It's actually insane to know how dark this got.
My brother is just the best person I know.
Yeah.
There was one I saw where she's like, oh my God, yeah. And like, we didn't know where he was. And we like figured out that he was in his room talking to fans on the phone, like convincing them not to commit suicide. And it's like, what the fuck
She
are
said
you?
that?
Yeah.
In real life, not at all. Like, he's fucking better than me in real life, and I'm not kidding. The way he acts in his TikToks is the polar opposite of what he's like in real life. Like, literally the polar opposite. I remember a couple of weeks back in the group chat, he was like, "Oi guys, should I act like a fuckwit in one of my voiceovers and see what happens?" And we were like, yeah, like, do it, who cares? And it absolutely blew up. Like, he doesn't know I'm making this TikTok, and sorry for exposing the assets, but he does this thing where once a week he donates to 5 GoFundMes. Because he's like, I want to give back, I want to give to people. Like, Anna, you should do it too. Here's a link here, look, this GoFundMe. Like, he sends me shit all the time. And even the boxing match he's proposing, even that's going to be for a good cause. So seeing people do any shit, like with serious shit, like, oh, if I see him in the street, I'm going to bash him. It's like, no, don't take this online joke into real life, because that's not who he is. That's way too far. I'm just going to give a quick trigger warning, but like, for example, a couple of weeks back, Atis was on the phone one night for hours, and we were like, what's happened and shit. Later on, he told us that he was talking a fan out of suicide, which is really sad.
Oh my God, that's actually so insane, because we're going to get into the multiple times that he uses unaliving himself as manipulation 100%.
I don't know if I put it in the last episode, but there's a clip of her saying that.
Wow. That is, I mean, I'm telling you, if you really, like, it's one thing to just hear about someone's horrific story. Like, that is already bad in and of itself. But when you think of who this story is about, it actually boggles my fucking mind. And then the fact that Anna's going to sit down in her apology or whatever, addressing things, and literally get away from addressing all of this by saying, I don't want to get involved in people's relationships. Like, that's not my relationship to speak on. It really seems like you regularly get involved in people's relationships, especially those of your brother's girlfriends, trying to keep them in a position that's so that's an insane thing to say at this point. But anyway, it continues.
Manipulating me to stay, to try and talk, to try and come to a resolution and fix this issue. And as I said, her demeanor was blasé. She had seen something like this before. I'm going to put certain screenshots of Glenn's conversation in here that can kind of give you an idea and confirmation that Glenn did witness these things, of course, and he did a lot to try and help the situations as well at certain times when this would be happening in the room next to him. I don't want anyone to come after Glenn. Glenn's had enough bullying from Anna's fans. He was always somebody that advocated against the violence and would, when he saw it, would come into the room and help. I would also get Anna to go to him to tell Atis certain things because, you know, a man to a man is going to be different. So here's just some screenshots. I was having a conversation with Glenn about another woman that Atis dated after me that has told me some stuff about, you know, shit she endured. And I was talking to him. I said, yeah, Atis just pulled the same shit on her, would punch walls and scream in her face, saying he's going to kill himself, XYZ, you know the vibes. Probably heard domestics from the other room. And he said, yes, of course I remember. Everything we ever did was for Atis, not for anyone else. Facts, dude. When I tell you everyone was just kissing the floor this man walked on and he got away with everything. I'm not fucking lying. And then, you know, another message that Glenn and I was saying, like that Glenn sent me was, yeah, I don't know Atis' deal. Hey, it was a 27 job to keeping him in check just so that Anna was all right. Fuck being in a relationship with that. Every other message, not showing. When I do eventually get to Glenn in this video, I will be talking from my perspective and my opinion based only. I'm not going to be saying anything else.
My thing with that, I was like, why are Anna's fans bullying Glenn? What the fuck did he do?
Just maybe when they broke up.
Another interesting thing that she showed was him saying it was a 24/7 job keeping him in check so that Anna was all right. So I'm like, were those abusive tendencies, like, you know, also with the family? Or was it, I don't know, is that what he means? Or was she just like, it was a full-time job, her trying to like manage his shit?
That I was gonna say, either or, who knows? But I'm like, it could have been that if he was having issues, then she was upset because she was having to try and like.
Right. Now, jumping a little bit forward, I want to touch on the Atis managing Mikaela's OF thing, because Mikaela is an OF creator and she has allegations in terms of how Atis basically like forced himself into managing for her
and took like a crazy percentage.
50% eventually, yeah.
That's a lot. That's not the standard.
And what managing an OF entails is like not only maybe posting, right, but on OF specifically, it's a lot of messaging, like horny messaging people.
Oh, so
right,
he was
like
doing that for her?
It's him doing it for her, yeah. And I know that is super common in the business. I actually know someone who is managing his friend's OF. And I'm just telling you right now, if you're a horny person on OF and you're messaging people, it is a random dude who gets paid like 20% to do that. Just saying.
But at least they're getting only paid 20%, not 50.
Right. So yeah, 50 is absolutely not standard. But then also, he was her boyfriend. And it doesn't really add up to why it would be that way. She says she thinks it started at 20%. We're going to get into all of that now. But he also addresses this in his bullshit, shitty Instagram story slides, which I am going to skip most of. But this is one of the things we will touch on. Yeah. Because he says that like he was constantly doing promos for her and sending people money and trying to like boost her. And then he shows like comparison to when he managed her to when he didn't manage her. A whole bunch of things. Okay, so we'll get into that. But this is her allegations.
Also, wait, that growth could have just been because the three of them like all had followers.
Could have been.
I feel like we're promoting each other. Already, it's kind of like I roll with the OnlyFans manager because it's like, how much could he really be doing? But then also, it's her boyfriend and he's horny messaging people that are horny messaging her. Like, that's insane.
I mean, he takes pictures of his sister.
And like, I know that like
so
it's up to people's relationship dynamics, whatever. Some people are going to be okay with that. But like, I would say the vast majority of boyfriends aren't going to be like, yeah, go be on OnlyFans. Much less are they going to be taking their photos and messaging people. Like, that's wild.
Eventually, like literally within a couple of weeks, he was managing my entire account. He was managing my IG. He was doing everything and he was taking a cut. And I'm pretty sure it started with 20 and then every week it would just be going up by 5%. It was just moving up and up and up and up. For anyone that thinks like, oh, like why is she saying this now? Like, girl, it hasn't been a secret that Atis was managing my OF and taking like a 50% cut. Because I mean, when I tell you it got to 50% pretty fucking quick, it did. What kind of boyfriend takes a 50% cut from their girlfriend's OnlyFans as well, while simultaneously doing nothing too? I've posted in the coming years about this 50% cut, and I'm just going to play a video here because I don't know, people are like acting brand new.
This person came into my life when I had been going through a lot. My dad just died. I had mental disorders. I had a lot of trauma. I was very new to making money. This person became my manager before we even started dating and started taking a large percentage of my income. And then eventually, as time went on, it became 50%. So 50% of my income was going to this person. He was my manager, yet managed absolutely nothing. And I was just giving him...
He was barely managing anything. Like, he was doing absolutely sweet fuck all. And I mean, of course, there was like promos where like you'd have to pay like, you know, a couple $100 to a meme page to maybe post a piece of content for you. But when I tell you I was making like $120,000 USD a month when I was like
holy
19
shit.
And this man was taking 50% of it, and he was definitely not utilizing any of those funds to like back into promotion. Like, he was just robbing me. He was robbing me at this point. Like, that's how I felt. I genuinely felt like that.
Also, that's one video I've seen personally, like multiple.
Oh yeah, she showed another one. Yeah, like over the years she has mentioned this, and it's not something she just came out with because she wanted to like, you know, shit on him. And even in that podcast that you mentioned, she was hinting at the fact that Atis is like not great, but that she liked Anna. That's what she was maintaining at that time. So then I'm going to summarize this part because it's pretty triggering. And again, like, Mikaela deserves to tell her own story. But essentially, she is saying that one day when her and Atis got into a bad fight, he took out a knife and she thought that he was going to hurt her. But he ended up using it and like basically saying, I'm going to unalive myself and it was like a really bad incident. And then she shows text messages where Anna was confirming that this did happen, and Anna said that it traumatized her so much that she couldn't even go in that room ever again, basically. So she definitely acknowledges how bad certain things have gotten. And then it just starts going into Anna's involvement in general and how Mikaela, I think, rightfully feels like Anna was pushing her to stay in a lot of situations. And again, we don't see what happened off text because they lived together.
Yeah, well, and even one of the ones that was on screen a second ago was her being like, you're the only one that can get through to him. Like,
yeah.
It's giving like, oh, I'm going to manipulate her into thinking that he needs her help.
But literally, what is the motive for Anna? That's the part that freaks me out. I'm like, what is the point?
Her weird obsession with her brother.
That's why I'm like, I kind of believe those sex rumors, because otherwise I'm like, I don't. But then no, because why would you want him to be with another girl? I don't think
they're actually. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen enough
at this point
stuff to suggest that they're actually incestual. But like the fact that she is so willing to defend him regardless of what it is, because it's like we've seen her do it for a range of circumstances, everything from like very serious to like just again like general hate. And it is crazy that is one of the videos I saw of her bringing up that like he talked a fan out of suicide, when now that's like a common theme here that he was threatening.
For sure. And then also I'm thinking right now, I'm like, you know what? It maybe isn't that crazy, because offenders and their families like notoriously have a relationship where the families justify it. Like there is a rare case, or like obviously there are cases where a family will be like, what the fuck is your problem? We're not going to defend you. But you hear about mothers defending their abusive sons all the time in marriages and shit like that. Like
even further than that, like I think of like Brian Laundrie.
Oh my God, yeah. It could get really fucking bad. So again, maybe it's not even like an incestuous thing. Maybe it literally
that's the
is
thing. I'm like, I don't think it is. I think that is a weird element to it, but it seems like she just has this loyalty to him where it's like, oh no, I will defend him above everything else and just forget any kind of morals of her own.
Okay, I want to just touch a little bit more about Anna. All right. And the thing about her is she only really cared about her brother. Like at the end of the day, you could tell her, you could cry to her, you could tell her things that are going on in the relationship, but she never really gave a fuck. You could just tell by the way she's talking, because she's always defensive of him. She's always making excuses for his behavior, just enabling it. You'd tell him he did something that's like so insane that you should call the police for, but she'd also like say like, oh, that's so bad, but like you're the only person that can help. Like you're the only person that can be there and like deal with him and like keep him alive. So anyway, here's some like screenshots of like, you know, I would tell her like Atis did this to me today, and she'd send me, you know, 10 minutes worth of voice messages here. She'd be like saying like, you're the only one that can get through to him. No joke. The things that you say to him could save his life. By changing his mindset now, you could be saving his life of 25-year-old Atis.
Oh my God, fuck off. Literally, this is insane. And I just brought this up in our bonus episode on Patreon when we were talking about the womb lands situation, when Chelsea was sending him videos being like, you know, I was suicidal the other day, and acting like it was because he didn't respond to text messages. And I'm like, that is so manipulative. You can't do that. No. Like if someone is actually suicidal, like you need to seek help and get therapy. It's not someone else's responsibility to keep you alive or like to make sure they don't like,
especially not the responsibility of the people you're abusing. Like what the fuck?
Certainly not. Yeah.
But it seems like at certain points Anna did recognize how fucked up it was. She sends this message to Mikaela and it says, also definitely tell him to get professional help, because resorting to suicide threats over a breakup is absolutely fucked and weird. So like there's so much to life and you're gonna threaten to end it all over a breakup. That puts pressure on you too. Like it's fucked. If he ever threatens that in the house, I'm gonna call the mental hospital on him so they can chill him out. I'm not dealing with that toxic shit in the house I live in. But it seems like
you are, because you literally just were saying like 2 seconds ago that it's like, well, you could help save his life. And it's like, well, that's not her responsibility.
No, and that's what Mikaela, I feel like, was mentioning, where she's just like, you could cry to Anna, you could tell her, and like you felt safe in that way, but then you basically end up seeing that at the end of the day, it's her brother over everyone else.
It's like she'd validate her with words, but not when it actually came down to the actions.
Right. So now we're going to get into the Alice Patterson situation. If you guys have seen our episode about Anna Paul, Lily did a lengthy update on this because it was something we found after filming.
We knew like the very general topic, but we didn't have any idea what the details were.
And we didn't have the video, let alone the unedited video.
Well, we didn't even know it existed. I couldn't find the video because Anna Paul's YouTube channel is like she deleted the video pretty soon after posting it, but then also her whole YouTube channel is wiped now, which I think is so strange.
And Interesting.
But yeah, we didn't even know that video existed, where it's Anna and Mikaela's in it too, defending Atis after Alice, which is his girlfriend from when he was 16, she was 13.
That's the age that everyone says. However, Mikaela here says that it was 17 and 13. That she was told it was always 16 and 13, 16 and 13 because he graduated at 16. But she says that she doesn't believe that that's true.
Well, and also I think it technically started when he was 16, maybe. Like,
it could be both.
Birthdays overlapped, and then it was mostly 17, probably.
Which, I'm sorry, that's weird. Those formative years, like for instance, yes, you're all minors, right? Technically.
That's a high schooler dating a middle schooler.
Well, yes, that, but then also just in general, like an 8-year-old dating a 15-year-old. You're both minors, but that is fucking disgusting. But Mikaela is not only gonna go over the Alice situation, which she admits, and it should be admitted, that she was very much a part of in the harassing of Alice, and that video that was made, she was literally behind the camera coaching people.
Well, and also, so when they dated, Alice was 13, but then when Alice was 16 is when she came out, and the response to her coming out with the allegations against Atis was Anna uploading this video where they're all defending him.
Yeah, and it's pretty fucking bad because Anna had a following already, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. They absolutely they bullied her into silence.
Bully her, yeah.
Yeah.
Besides just showing up to her fucking house, which we'll get into.
So how I'm going to start this is a video of Atis on social media and the way he would talk about Alice prior to Alice ever opening her mouth about this man.
Probably when I was hustling back when I was 16 and I was being held back by my dumbass bitch ex, and I broke up with her and I got rich the week after because that was the only thing holding me back.
What the fuck? Is that not fucking insane? That was before Alice even came forward about him.
And you were surprised when she did? Oh my God.
Right.
What the fuck?
Can you imagine him fucking
so
being a
gross.
menace in the relationship in general? And then
seeing that.
Yeah, and then seeing fucking that, I would lose my fucking marbles.
Well, not to mention, I'm sure Alice was probably met with people being like, oh, why are you bringing it up now? Why wouldn't you bring it up before? And it's well, maybe because he's a fucking dick.
And just the way he's describing it, my dumbass bitch girl, he seems so aggressive and so disgusting.
Even if you had a bad breakup, that is
horrible,
outrageous.
And then again, juxtapose it to this is my brother. He's the best thing in the world. Please,
he talks his fans after suicide.
Yeah.
First of all, who the fuck says that on their Instagram story? Second of all, this is a photo of Atis and Alice at their graduation.
Literally. Graduation photo, him grabbing Alice's breast.
And Anna took this, I guess.
Oh, Jesus. What the fuck?
Shown Alice is 13 years old in this photo and Atis is graduating. Ew. But here are some voice messages of Anna trying to, convince me that this girl is a liar and a bad person.
Because then people could easily be like, oh, well then why would she do this then? People would easily say, why would she, say all of this? And what's really fucked up is that people are DMing me saying that, how does it feel to have a racist boyfriend because of that fucking shit that she fucking just posted on her story?
So I really thought that this girl was lying. I thought she's lying about the age gap, all of these things, all of these stories about apparently, her spreading their address and sending shitty pizzas to, with anchovies and all this stuff, which he also blamed another girl for in the past, to her house, and just all of these lies. I was believing them.
She completely trashed his whole room, trashed it. So I just went up there and he restrained her. He held her and she was squirming around and shit, and she punched him in the face. But anyway.
So when I heard the squirming restrained her, I knew exactly what that was. I knew.
Also, her laughing at the end of saying that.
Yeah. Just another day in the Paul house, I guess.
I don't know if I've ever heard Anna Paul, not that I'm super familiar with all of her content over the years, but even when she's talking about something serious, it always ends with a giggle.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah, it's very uncanny.
I knew that it wasn't just restraining. I knew it was fucking bashing her around and holding her down and squishing her. Maybe she punched him because that was the only way she could get away. But, that wasn't the first lie I heard. This was the second.
So we went to her house and told her to please stop telling people our address. And Atis was the only one who spoke. Nobody was even talking except for Atis, and Atis just asked her to stop spitting our address because it's very dangerous for our safety.
So now we're going to get into the unedited footage because, like I said, Mikaela was behind the scenes, and for some fucking reason, they put it on her laptop. And Anna's going to say in her addressing things video that Mikaela's the mastermind behind all of this. Essentially, through
she made her upload to her YouTube channel?
Yeah.
It was on Anna's YouTube channel.
Yeah, I will say, I think that Atis was the mastermind here. And it very much seems like in a lot of points of this, Anna is uncomfortable, which makes this even worse. Because if you knew this was wrong and you went through with it, that's insane. Like, it's not even like you felt like you were standing up for something you should have been standing up for.
No, it was like, let's go to any length we can to make this go away.
Exactly. And a reminder, this is the video that was posted because Alice came out with allegations and people were obviously calling him out for that.
Atis was born in 2001. You were born in 2004. Atis was the graduating class of 2017, but he was younger than everybody in his grade. But you also don't want to say that. All you say is he graduated in 2017. He was in grade 12 and I was in grade 8. He was in this grade and I was in this grade. Grades do not matter in this situation. The ages matter.
Yeah, they kind of do.
Both matter, I would say.
Legally, maybe not, but like just morally.
Yeah. Like someone in middle school and someone in high school are in completely different
Very
journeys.
different. Also, not her like nitpicking about the like, he was born in this year and then she was born this year. Yeah. And if they were born in like opposite ends of the year, that
makes
again,
it even worse.
Like I mentioned earlier, it's going to be like a different age. Like maybe they were that age difference for a month and then suddenly it's another year.
But you are manipulating this situation by continuously telling everybody he was in grade 12. He graduated 2017. That doesn't matter. He was younger than everybody in his grade by a full year. But you know that nobody knows that. So you continue to push this narrative of I was grade 8, he was grade 12. When you know that he was younger than everybody in his grade. Atis graduated when he was 16 years old.
Is it not actually batshit fucking insane that she is here saying this instead of her brother? Like, actually, when you think of it, it does make
That's the weirdest part. Like,
no
I guess
sense.
he is in the video too, I believe, right?
Yeah. Oh, God. We'll get to his part.
But it is crazy that it's like, again, it's not on his YouTube channel. It's hers.
Yeah.
It's her being like, I'll use my platform because like people don't want to listen to
That is actually just like pure evil. You can't just like be like, oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. Using this kind of power that you had at the time to defend your brother, who, spoiler alert, is a convicted R-wordist and has multiple women. Like, I don't think it was that far of a stretch. You're saying Ghislaine Maxwell or whatever the fuck. Like, yeah, this is giving, no matter what he does, you're going to be front and center defending his ass.
Most people graduate when they're 17 and 18. You're posting photos of him at graduation. People see that. People are like, oh shit, I was 18 when I graduated. That's disgusting. Atis was 16 when he graduated. And you're not telling people that.
Should have been more clear. I'm stupid. Sorry, going into this shit, but
God, he has scary eyes. And he also picks his booger
yeah,
right
he's
here.
Creepy.
Yeah.
Great.
Look at how he like...
Here is the definition of what a child groomer truly is. And I'm going to be reading it off of my phone.
If it progresses to a larger extent, it will be out of our hands. And that's just me being honest with you.
Anna did all the dirty work for him, as she always does, because she enabled his fucking disgusting behaviors. And that's exactly why she's getting dragged in this video too, because not only is she a disgusting, disturbing person on her own, but she's done very disturbing, disgusting things by knowing the truth about Atis and knowingly enabling and covering up his fucking bullshit and lies. And I'm not saying I'm innocent. As I said, I'm sitting here and I'm behind the camera thinking, where's the fucking energy? If she is lying, say something scarier than like, oh yeah, like, it's just not true. Say something like, we're going to take action. You know, if this is a lie, say something that's actually fucking worth it.
So on Mikaela's end, obviously she was wrong being involved, but she at least found it weird that it's like, wait, so do we believe that this is fucking bullshit? Because if it is, let's power it up. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Before we go any further, we have a word from our sponsor, the Dry Bar Blowout Defense Collection.
I was so excited when Dry Bar became a sponsor because I am a longtime fan. Okay, their Hot Toddy Heat Protectant Mist is my holy grail heat protectant. But like Lily said, we are here to talk about the Dry Bar Blowout Defense Collection because wow. Have you smelled it? It is the best smelling hair products that I own.
I don't know why all hair products don't smell good, but like that should just be a given.
Standard.
Obviously,
right?
You want it to smell good, and it does, you guys. It's amazing. And they don't just smell good, you guys. These are game-changing products that help you prep your hair for a gorgeous blowout that lasts for days, which is great because I don't like to wash my hair that often.
And their Blowout Defense Strengthen and Extend Blowout Accelerator Spray is my favorite because it cuts the blow dry time by 32% and locks in the style. And when you have extensions like me, oh my God, it helps so much because if you have them, you know how long it takes them to dry. So something that cuts that time by so much is very helpful.
But then they also have the Blowout Defense Strengthen and Extend shampoo and conditioner, and the whole package gets you ready to go.
Yeah, those hydrate and detangle super well. I found that like brushing my hair after was a lot easier than it normally is. And it just leaves your hair so soft. It minimizes the breakage and I just love them. And again, they smell amazing. So if you guys want to get a gorgeous blowout that lasts, head over to drybar.com and check out their Dry Bar Blowout Defense products.
And thanks so much to Dry Bar's Blowout Defense Collection for sponsoring this episode.
But also, I will say there are multiple times that Mikaela does say that she believed the women that were coming out about Atis, and she believed it because she was living it, and that there was also a certain layer of like active denial in that moment, or like trying to cope with her situation and like disconnecting from that. Like, it's not as black and white as just like, oh, she really believed him. Even if she didn't really believe him, she was in a highly abusive relationship where every time she tried to leave, he threatened to unalive himself, and
it was in
worse.
her best interest to believe him.
Right. So I think there was a lot of mind games that can't be explained. And I'm not trying to make excuses for her being involved in that video. It was disgusting. And like, you hear her coaching them. At the same time, it is so like, it's just such a dark situation that you really don't know how you'd act in. You know what I mean? Because it's like, to be abused that level, you just, I don't know, you start coping in weird ways, you start disassociating.
Her investment in the situation and how it affects her, I feel like probably shaped how she responded to the situation. But it's crazy for like, I don't think Anna like thought that Alice was lying. I think that she was finding ways to like debunk, quote unquote, Alice's story while knowing it was true.
Yeah, that's the difference here. Yeah, it does seem, because Anna has lived it and seen a lot of her brothers, it does seem like she was trying to cover it up. And I mean, there's no other way to fucking describe it. You're putting this shit on your YouTube channel. What are you doing?
Scare her a little bit more.
We convinced our lawyer, like, we thought, like,
we told our lawyer we'll make a video.
We pitched out the idea to our lawyer. We would prefer to make a video so that everyone still has a chance. So still give a chance for, like, I don't know.
Because that's what we do. We make videos.
We make videos. We urge them. We convince them.
We talk to you guys.
Please let us try to resolve this with ourselves with a video before any other humans.
Yeah. So we pitched to our lawyer that we want to make this right with a video rather than legal action. We want to make it very clear that we did not know that this letter was being made. Mikaela, should we say like Atis did know about it because he didn't want the lies about him? And I want to make it very clear that personally, we had nothing to do with this letter. We didn't even know this letter was being sent. It is something that our management did behind the scenes. It is something that we have nothing to do with. I'll cut out the ums, but so I just want to make it very clear that none of us sat there and wrote a letter and we're gonna harass a little girl. It was not like that at all. So the claim stating that we sent out a letter to a little girl for no reason. So the claim stating that we sent out a letter to a 17-year-old for no reason are completely false.
You know what letter they're talking about, right?
Yeah, it's the letter, like, supposedly from a Team Paul, which, spoiler alert, doesn't exist. And they did write the letter. It's insane to try and have, like, plausible deniability. Like, that's giving Janet, I don't give you the strike.
Right.
The platform does the strike. I just set the request. Management companies aren't sending letters threatening minors about such serious allegations. That would not be happening. And they wouldn't do it without you knowing. And they didn't because they don't exist.
Yeah, so we actually have the cease and desist, which is a letter that they're talking about. And Alice actually posted this and said that it was like super poorly written.
What is this format?
Look at the fucking opening sentence. Johannes Paul, which is Atis Paul. I don't understand the lore there. Okay. Johannes Paul is a respectable and admirable individual in the social media community and has spent his life building a positive reputation. Well, then maybe stop women, and that will remain positive, buddy. But until then, fuck you. I'm sorry, but one look at that man and I knew he was tainted and dark-sided stuff. But apparently, according to Mikaela, I think she even witnessed Atis writing this letter. Like, I think that's what she said.
Yeah, she was like, there is no Team Paul. That doesn't,
right.
Like, they wrote it.
She very much says there is zero team. They had no team at all. The lawyer, like, none of that existed. Now, this bullet point list is insane. You're not to mention anything relating to or about Johannes Paul as if you knew him personally. I'm sorry. As if you knew him personally? You did know him. We have proof of that.
You were like sexually intimate with him. Like, are you kidding?
You are not to disclose any information on any relations you may or may not have had with Johannes Paul by word of mouth or any social media websites, online, etc. Fuck you.
What do you mean any relations you may not have had?
That is insane. Literally, this entire thing is just stop talking. Says you must not mention this cease and desist letter to anyone or you will be held accountable. That's not how cease and desist letters work. You're allowed to talk about them. It's not a fucking gag order. I'm going to continue with the unedited video bits that I have, but it is just, it's such a hard watch.
It's insane.
Literally just hearing them coach each other.
Should we say Atis knew?
Is disgusting. Knowing what the letter is makes it so diabolical because it's like, you literally wrote that. There's no chance you didn't.
No, this letter was being sent. It is something that our management did behind the scenes. It is something that we have nothing to
to do with.
Sure. The Paul team.
You have nothing to do with it. It's about you.
Well, actually, I could say there it had nothing to do with her. None of this had anything to do with her.
True,
so why
true.
the fuck are you
should
here?
have kept your mouth shut. The fact that they're trying to distance themselves from it and be like, we didn't even know it was sent. Really? Oh, I guess no one put their name on it. But I was like, why would a lawyer put their, like, you have to get approval to send shit like that.
I want to make it very clear that none of us sat there and wrote a letter and, we're gonna harass a little girl. It was not like that at all. So the claim...
They don't even try and say it's from a lawyer. They're implying that their management team wrote a cease and desist.
I don't think that's a typical management role behavior.
No, I'm pretty sure cease and desists are reserved for legal entities.
I mean, technically you can find a template online and anybody can fill it out, but that's not
and people do all the time. But like, it's such a joke to be like, our management
without
team
us knowing. Without us
bullshit.
knowing, which is the best part.
No, it's crazy.
So the claim stating that we sent out a letter to a little girl for no reason. So the claim stating that we sent out a letter to a 17-year-old for no reason are completely false.
Changed it up.
We personally had nothing to do with this letter.
But what you do have something to do with is that didn't work because Alice posted it. So then you resorted to this as the next form of intimidation.
Atis bought likes and followers to Alice's account so that she could say this.
And even this morning, she was buying likes and followers on her Instagram.
Can you believe that?
This is irrelevant petty shit, right?
Irrelevant petty shit.
When it comes into the story of her doing this for wrong intentions, it makes complete sense. So we decided to drive to her house to tell her to please stop spreading our address. And when I say we, I mean myself, Atis, Glenn's older sister, Glenn's sister, and their family friend. So it was 5 of us. It was 5 adults going to confront a 14-year-old.
To confront a 14-year-old.
The fact that she just said that as if that's not the most insane thing ever.
Yeah, you can't just casually admit
5 adults went to go confront a 14-year-old to just
all of this is hurting my brain.
Politely say.
Dude, but literally,
it's insane.
That part is horrible. But the part before, I mean, obviously we don't have proof, quote unquote, that they bought the followers for Alice, but Mikaela witnessed this. So, and I mean, she has enough proof for me to fucking believe the shit that she's saying.
And it's such a random, like, why would you be looking to see if she bought followers? Like, it's not logical. So they needed that little nugget to be like, see?
She bought followers today, but then it was them. That is actually fucking so evil.
I fully understand how that is just inappropriate. Being older now, that is something that we shouldn't have done. Like, I realized that we did it to intimidate her, but come on, she's 14. But, okay. Because we have to take accountability.
Off screen, Atis, don't say that she was 14.
He says she's 17.
I'm going to say we didn't talk. We were just there to...
We were just there to support.
We were just there to support.
That's
fucking insane. So yeah, that's the Alice situation. And I know Alice has continued to speak up on her Instagram and stuff like that. And ultimately, it's horrible. Like what she had to endure, I can't even imagine. Because even when I think of like myself getting reamed for things that are traumatic online, I was of age and I also had my own following. So as much as I got hate, I also got a lot of support that kind of like literally powered me through it and kept me functioning.
Well, and that's the fact that like they were adults, they shouldn't have done that anyway. But I'm like, but then we factor in they had very dedicated, loyal followings, multiple of them. And like Mikaela bringing hers in too. So it's like all 3 of them and Glenn, like that's wild.
I know. So moving on to the animal neglect allegations, because that is something that Anna honestly kind of focuses on for a hot minute in her addressing video.
This brings me to my next chapter, and it's animal neglect. Anna just buys animals like handbags. Like she'll entertain the animal for a short period of time, and then she'll kind of pass it off to a family member, and then she'll buy another one the next year, and then it'll happen again. The cycle will repeat. It'll be all sorts of species. When I first came to the house, she had 3 dogs and like 4 birds. You know, obviously they would be complaining like so much, like the other family members like, oh, Anna just bought these dogs, because you know the dogs would be pissing all over the house. They weren't trained and there wasn't a doggy door. And so like obviously we'd come back. This was the first house we were at called the Promontory. We also called the house the Peamontory, and it got demolished, I believe, because of the amount of urine that was in the fucking house, that they probably just couldn't get rid of the smell, so they had to like demolish it. So like the dogs would just piss like right in front of your face, like up against the wall. It was insane.
Did you grasp that?
Did she say they demolished demolished the house?
Okay, so it's called the Promontory, I guess is what, I don't know if that was like the neighborhood or the name of the house.
But
and then they called it the Pimentory.
because of the P.
Because of the P. Anna goes on to say that it wasn't demolished. But then Mikaela shows proof that it was. It's a whole thing. We'll get into that. But she goes to this next frame and she shows all of the animals that Anna has had over the years. She's had a ton of birds. She's had a snake. She has had a bunch of dogs. She has had a hairless cat, which are notoriously the hardest to take care of. Like, I think daily you have to they have some shit that grows in their nails.
What's
it's like
that
a whole
picture
thing.
of 3 of them?
Where are the 3?
Top left.
Oh shit, maybe his friends? I don't know. No, I have no idea. But also they called the cat, like the name of the cat was Nutsack.
Ew.
He can't choose that he looks like that. I think that was wrong. I don't know. She literally keeps referring to him or her as Nutsack, and it's a lot.
Well, and then I see the picture of her horse too. I'm pretty sure I saw it. She's like this gorgeous, like Frisian horse, which very expensive, thank God, assuming that it's not just like at her house, that horses like stay, like you board them somewhere. So it's like they have to pay people to take care of them.
Exactly. Yes. She gets into that and says that her horse lives at like the top riding school and gets ridden by like professional horses, which I believe.
Yeah, I was like, I don't doubt that. So I'm like, thank God, because horses, like you can't, I mean, like you shouldn't neglect any animal, obviously, but it's much harder to neglect a horse if you're having it stay somewhere.
Here's a healthy photo of Quakesy from, 22nd of April, 2021, before we ever bought a cat, before Nutsack exists. This was Quakesy, 22nd of May. He looks horrible. Quakesy went from being Anna's best friend, favorite bird. Anna had him out every day. I used to see her freaking putting him everywhere. He was everywhere. He was always out of the cage. I don't even think he lived in a cage. He literally would only go in the cage to sleep. To her getting a hairless cat now, and that's the hot shot content and Quakesy's chopped liver.
So you see those. I mean, I don't know anything about birds, but that's 2 very different look at birds.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't either, but that bird was looking rough.
Right. Yeah. And then another thing is the clipping of the wings. I couldn't actually find where she talked about it in the podcast. Maybe it's something she's talked about on TikToks, but Anna takes great offense to this because she says she never clips any bird's wings that she's had. We have some proof to the contrary, but sure. And then also something that Mikaela says is that she basically gives the dogs to her dad. And one of them in particular, the one that she's had the longest, it's like this little like Chihuahua looking, it's so tiny, it's so cute. BB, I think is the name. She now lives with Hans, which is Anna Paul's dad.
In his van?
Yeah. So that's the thing that a lot of people are pointing out. It's like not her giving the dog to the dad when his whole life, the dog lived in like mansions and I guess pissed wherever he wanted to. And then all of a sudden lives in a hot van, which Mikaela says Hans would complain about a lot and just be like, essentially, he didn't have space for the dogs, but he was like trying to take care of them. And those are the animal neglect allegations that Anna's gonna address in just a second. Now we're gonna get into the fat comments because remember, Anna Paul doesn't call her fans fat
because it was that the fan gave her a hug and she called them fat and sweaty, and then she went on this like, weird tangent about like
sweaty.
No, I might have said that they were like that it was wet or like it was like the weirdest thing, and then also that she's
rigmarole.
Like when you meet fans, and she goes into this whole like other meet and greet anecdote.
I do not call my fans fat. That is not who I am. That is not what I stand for. That's not what I've ever stood for. But you guys know me, surely. That is not what I stand for. Sweaty, however, I may have called her sweaty because when somebody is wet and they touch you and then they leave, and when you're with your best friend and you are now wet because of them, you may say, I am now wet. And I also know that people would have hugged me, walked away and said, Anna Paul was sweaty. That does not make them a bad person. That is just them pointing out that after 2 people touch, they are now sweaty or wet. For example, actually, during meet and greets, I hug thousands of people. And my go-to thing when I meet a fan is I always go in for a hug. So I hug thousands of people, so my shoulders go into thousands of armpits. And afterwards, my shoulders smell like sweat. And if I'm like, hey, does anyone have a wet wipe? Both my shoulders really smell like sweat. That is just a human thing. And of course, you can twist it and make it sound bad in a video, but yeah.
Then Mikaela was like, Baruka was like, you're taller than most of your fans, and I don't think, like, I've been to a lot of meet and greets, you're not in a bunch of people's armpits.
All of it was just like, it sounds like you did talk shit, and you're trying to, like, pick and choose now what you actually said.
Otherwise, you would just flat out be like, I would have never said that. That's absurd. But that's not what she did.
No, and now Mikaela's like, actually, not only did you call your fan fat and sweaty, you called your boyfriend, or now ex-boyfriend, sweaty. I mean, not sweaty, fat, sorry. Can't keep track. And also his father.
She would call Glenn fat on the daily. She'd call him fat every single day. She'd fat shame him. She'd fat shame him with her mom. It was mostly like Atis Anna mama. This was the times that I recall in person her saying this. She'd be talking shit in German about Glenn. Okay, I heard it, and I also heard her just talking shit to me and my friend group in English as well. Shit about Glenn being fat. It was very fucked to witness, and I'm swear to God, no word of a lie.
Now, she does show proof of someone that recounts Anna saying that Glenn was fat all the time. That's what she showed. It was like a voice note of someone being like, yeah, she used to do that all the time. Obviously, that's hearsay. That's like someone's recollection of it.
Yeah.
However, she does show some text messages. And the reason why I'm not showing the text message, which is specifically Anna calling Glenn's father fat in a certain context, is because Anna is going to address that herself. So we're actually going to jump into Anna's response. There is a lot more there with Mikaela, specifically an essay allegation she has against Atis that I personally found like way too triggering to cover. He does address that, and obviously he's going to deny it. I personally believe Mikaela. I think that Atis has proven to be not only literally a convicted R-wordist and has an insane pattern, but like he's just proven to be a fucking liar who's gonna just try to save himself at any cost. So we'll just jump to Anna's 24 or 26 minute response. God help us all.
Hi everyone. I know that a lot of people have been waiting for me to make a response to Mikaela's video, and before I get into that, and before I do that, I want to address something very serious, and that is that a couple of years ago, I made a huge mistake by being in a YouTube video where I talk about a relationship that I wasn't even in.
Being in a YouTube video? You mean uploading a YouTube video to your channel?
Yeah, you weren't a guest star, honey. You
Oh
were
my God,
you were
that's
it. You were the
unreal.
moment, I fear.
Very convenient framing.
She frames everything in this pretty little picture, and there's plenty of people that actually watched her response and were like, dude, I like for a second was manipulated. There's multiple parts here that I was like, oh wait, like was Mikaela lying? Like it just started feeling like this weird pull of like, oh, maybe Anna's right. And then you just got to snap out of it. Okay. So let's all just take this with a grain of salt. I mean, obviously she provides her own receipts, and we're going to take a look at that because at the end of the day, Mikaela's not perfect, and she has admitted to not being perfect and doing some fucked up shit. So it's not impossible that she is not the perfect victim and has done some horrible stuff.
3 sides to every story.
So for sure. But again, I do find it interesting, especially when we see the unedited video that we saw. Like, it's just like Anna is so calculated and then wants to pretend like she's just sitting here and talking. But
That's
it's like,
the thing.
No,
It's like
we've seen this whole little operation before.
There might not be like total damning proof for every single allegation or every single thing that people are saying about her, but it does fit this now seemingly growing pattern of behavior that has been proven. And it's like,
right.
Well, that is believable because it fits all the other stuff that you were doing.
Never been in that video. I believe that at the end of the day,
posted it.
only the two people who are in a relationship truly know what goes on in that relationship. I have no right to sit down and talk about a relationship that I wasn't even in. And at the time, I thought I was doing the right thing by defending my family. But I wasn't. It's not the right thing to do whatsoever. And even now, when I watch those clips back, it's like, I can tell how immature I was. I should have been stronger in saying no to even being in that video. I should not have been in that video at all. And I really apologize for that. And because of that, in this video, I will not at all be addressing Atis and Mikaela's part of the relationship.
Convenient.
Atis has done that on his Instagram today. That is his story to tell, not mine.
Oh, that's something else to know. They both came out with their addressing of things on the same day. And guess what day that is? Anna Paul's half-sister, who notoriously does not like her birthday.
Is that super relevant?
Yeah, because that girl has been speaking out against her.
Oh, I didn't know
like,
that.
yeah, Sophia's like literally friends with Mikaela.
Oh,
I'm sorry if it's Sophie or Sophia.
Okay, so basically
yeah.
you're saying so they did that strategically because she'd probably be busy and not be able to.
Probably, maybe. I mean, I don't know. It just seems like they're
Weird.
just way too calculated for that to just be a random thing.
The fact that they had planned and coordinated posting, like, and then teased
That
the other, I'm
alone.
like, that's weird.
Yeah, they've waited so long to finally say something. I mean, I guess her podcast was just a few weeks ago, but Mikaela's been talking for months.
Well, I'm like,
at this
where was
point.
this in the first addressing video? Because she brought up
Right.
most
She
of
wants
this
to
before.
skip right over that. Yeah.
But also, I'm like, I can't with the, like, I should have never been in that YouTube video. You literally, you posted it to your millions of followers. You were like the
can't say
integral
that.
part of that. And then also to then be like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. But now I'm older and now I know that's wrong, so I'm not going to speak on it. It's like, well, convenient. Now you aren't going to.
Maybe you should actually speak on it because there's multiple receipts of you basically being a big fucking part of why someone stayed in a relationship. You have to own up to that. That is fucked up.
That's the thing also is like, it's not my relationship to speak on. Well, it seems like it was kind of a throuple at a certain point because you were really involved. So like
whatsoever. I'm only going to be talking about myself. Mikaela had been promoting her podcast for weeks and weeks and weeks. And not once did I try to stop it. I didn't try to stop it with a cease and desist or any type of legal
like you did last time.
Your brother couldn't have helped you out.
When a woman has a story to tell, she should be able to come online and freely tell that story. So that's why I didn't do that. And another thing I want to say, since we're speaking at legal things, is that some people are saying because I didn't get her with a defamation case after her podcast was posted, that what she's saying must be the truth and she must be telling the truth, but that is not the case at all. In reality, a defamation case takes 3 to 4 years. It takes such a long time, and it costs $500,000 to $1 million. It's very expensive. It takes such a long time. And if I went down that route, I wouldn't be able to do this. I wouldn't be able to set up my camera like this and just...
Yeah, but you're also negating the other very important part of a defamation case, which is you being subpoenaed for all the fucking shit that you had to do in those relationships and being embarrassed publicly. That's why you don't want to do it. You've got the money, honey.
I was like, there is truth to that. Speaking from experience, we're going into year two.
Right.
First of all, I don't feel like that was probably that common of a sentiment. I feel like people don't automatically say, if you're not suing someone for defamation, that means not
I think they were saying you're quiet. So that's the fucking issue. Like, you're not saying anything.
And that she put her addressing video out and literally was like, I never said I was poor. I felt poor. Like, that was what she focused on. That's why people think that you're lying, because you aren't addressing the actual serious stuff.
Right.
Just freely tell you the truth like this. This will take 4 years to be able to do this. So I didn't want to go down that route. Now, Mikaela made a big mistake thinking that I'm going to stay silent like I always do, because she knows that when people lie about me online, I don't say anything, I don't make a video, like I just stay silent. And she made a huge mistake in thinking I'll do that again. She took my silence and my kindness for weakness in the situation, and I will not be staying silent this time. Now, when she first posted the podcast, I didn't watch it. I'm going to be honest. I didn't watch it because I wasn't going to sit down and listen to 2.5 hours of her lying. I'm not going to do that.
But I thought it was her experience.
Yeah, at first she's like, I wanted to let her talk because, she's a woman and that's her story.
But now I didn't want to sit there and listen to her lie for 2.5 hours, just like she said Alice did.
Yes. Also, thinking about the fact that the majority of the 5 hours of content that she has put up is her talking about how Atis Paul was with receipts, and it got fucking gruesome, including but not limited to unaliving, R-word. I mean, just the worst of the fucking worst. And for her to now deduce all of that to she's lying, and that's why I didn't want to watch it. You're still sticking up for your brother, and don't pretend that you're here not getting involved when this is very much involving yourself, and you're still painting it all as a lie to protect him.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I'm like, let me get this straight. You don't want to speak on it because it's not your relationship to speak on, but then you are speaking on it by saying it's all lies.
It's all a lie.
After you tried to say, well, I let her tell her experience because blah, blah, blah.
It's bullshit. She can't keep it straight because it's bullshit.
And then she's like, well, now I'm speaking up. And it's like, but speaking up about what? A lot of conflicting messaging here, Anna.
And she tries to do it very quickly, just to like keep moving, keep pushing, hoping people don't get stuck on certain spots. But we're getting stuck, bitch. Okay.
He was like, we can nitpick.
Oh, that's our specialty.
Like all the receipts. And I thought, okay, let me see. Like, what are these receipts? I want to see. So I watched her video, and there are no receipts about me. There are no receipts about me.
That's actually
puts
insane.
up photos from my public Instagram and stuff like that, but she just tells very, very long stories. She speaks a lot, and her receipts are like photos from my public Instagram. There are no receipts.
How are you gonna say that? We have fucking receipts up the ass.
This is the epitome of reverse receipts, where it's like you just are going to say something or show people something and then tell them something differently and just hope that they take your word for it.
Yeah, that is so triggering, especially as someone who sat through the 5-hour podcast and watched it. I'm like,
well, it's like, wait, no, do you have eyes? Do you have ears? What are you talking about?
I today, however, have come with actual receipts. So let's get into it. First, let me clarify a timeline. I haven't seen this girl in 3 years.
She then puts up this text message that is from Mikaela, and this was on November 19th of this past year, so 2024. It says, hey Anna, Corinna is in Australia for a while now, and we want to see you. Just messaging you to invite you over to my place at some point. We could have some pool/beach days and do some snap. Let me know.
Interesting, because I just sent you, someone had sent me a clip of Mikaela actually just was speaking out against Corinna, because it's Corinna Kopp, David Dobrik's Corinna.
Yeah.
And apparently she like stole Tara Yummy's man.
We know that she stole that man from Tara Yummy. We know she did.
She told me, and she was Tara's friend, but like she does, as I said, she has no morals. As I said, she doesn't give a fuck about friends she hurts in the process, and a man is just the most valuable thing to her in the whole wide world, and she doesn't give a fuck about women.
Yeah, she then addresses this after Anna's response and basically says that Corinna was the one trying to get her to hang out with Anna, which I mean, may be true, may not.
It kind of does seem like it from that text. But when I first saw this,
I did see that and I was like, wait, why was she trying to hang out with her in November? That is weird.
Well, I mean, and Corinna's there. That's why they're asking. It's not like she was asking her to hang out alone. But regardless, it is a little weird.
Bad person. 4 months ago, she wanted to hang out with me. She asked me to come to her house.
Almost
she asked
6
me to
months
make
ago,
Snapchat
actually.
content with her, which makes her money because she only wants to hang out with you if she can get something from you. And of course, I politely declined because I do not want to hang out with this person. I know what kind of person she is, and I do not want her in my life whatsoever. So I declined. And then she asked me to go on a trip to Fiji with her, which again would have been for Snap.
Back to not that it's like this defining, like just a nail in the coffin, but like, again, that comment of like sexy on her thing 2 days before Mikaela had put out
Seems
her
like
video.
you want something to do with this person that you say you want nothing to do with.
That was after November. So like, what do you mean?
And I also didn't go to that, obviously. Now, 4 months later, apparently I'm a very bad person. But anyways, let's get onto the lies because
again,
there's a
6
lot.
months
and
later.
I have them written down on my phone. So if it's choppy or if I'm looking down at my phone, it's just I'm trying to keep track of all of them, to be honest with you. And the first one that I'm going to address, which is so stupid, is that Atis takes my OF content. She seriously said that. She seriously said that. And when she said that, I was like, yes, now people will know she's lying. Good. But that's not the case. So now I'm going to address it. Atis doesn't take my OF content, obviously. Either I took it or Glenn took it. She's trying to make it seem like Atis was in the bedroom, like, you feel me? That's ridiculous. And she knows it's ridiculous. She knows it's an online rumor. And I'll put up a receipt on the screen.
This is like her family group chat, I guess. It says, she said Atis takes my OnlyFans pics. What? Ha 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 ha. She's a nutcase. This is Mikaela. So I think this was it Alice saying that? Or somebody, I guess someone else with allegations against Atis saying that at the time. Because this is when Anna was still friends with Mikaela. And then Mikaela says, yuck, what the fuck? Fucking weird bitch. I want to kill her. Jesus Christ. And then Anna responds, how fucking weird. Ha ha ha. To even think like that. Mikaela says, I'm getting sent screen recordings over email. Hopefully we have a video of her saying that. And then Anna says, I don't even have OnlyFans when they were together. Yeah, so it must have been Alice.
Yeah.
The only OnlyFans thing Atis has ever taken of me was in Bali, both of us, but that was like 2 years ago. And we never said who recorded that. So she's pulling shit out of her ass now just to stay relevant, trying to defame us even more. Now, what's interesting is that Mikaela's not the only person who's accused Atis of taking Anna's OnlyFans pics. Yeah. Lilith was the first person to do that.
Yeah, well, this is such a weird, like, see, look at this proof that I didn't. First of all, you admit in this text that he did take some.
Right. And it could have been worse later on, too.
And
he
that's also,
taken more.
She very much says, like, I didn't even have OnlyFans. Like, it seems like it's not even necessarily that it didn't happen. It's that Alice couldn't have known that it would happen.
Yeah, and then it says at the end, like, and we never said who recorded that.
Exactly. So it's like, are you just banking on, like, it's funny because, like, she wouldn't know that, so she's pulling that out of her ass. Not that it didn't ever happen.
So jumping a little bit, I know, I'm sorry. Mikaela actually addresses this. So I think that we should, like, slot it in because she did a bunch of TikToks where she was showing receipts that no, Atis actually does take your OF pics. I'm so dead because one of the top comments is, and her receipt literally has a text from her saying that he did take OnlyFans pictures. She might be the CEO of reverse receipts,
right?
Actually.
My first thought though, when she said like, oh, and I've like acting like she has receipts to disprove this. I'm like, how could you possibly disprove that? Like, how many OnlyFans pictures have you taken?
Like, do you have pictures of who's taking your pictures?
Exactly. Like, you would have to be able to prove that other people took every single one, which clearly you don't have.
And unfortunately for her, there's proof that Atis does take the pictures.
It's so embarrassing.
This sucks.
She's laughing and she knows that it's not true. She knows it's a rumor. She knows people will eat it up, which is why she said it in her podcast, which is ridiculous.
That's just lie number one. This is just the very beginning. Pay attention to the timestamps, the time, the photos at the bottom, the background. We've got Burberry slides in the background here. We've got a finger and we've got the slides in the bottom. We've got an individual with a bucket hat. We've got my shoes here. You can see all the photos at the bottom. Date and times. Oh my God, it's your brother in the same shoes, date and time, same bucket hat. Oh, but he doesn't take our OF content. If you followed Anna and I during this era when these photos originally got posted on IG and OF, they're topless. They're topless photos. All right. Also, the video on my podcast is a collab video of me and her that her brother filmed
her brother filmed it, and it's a collab, okay? It's me jiggling her in the pool, and the camera's all up and close and personal. Your brother filmed that.
Has she ever heard of a tripod?
Ew.
I just don't understand. I don't understand the logic.
I think she didn't think that she could prove it, so it was like,
oh, you didn't think your brother's really so shit at taking pictures that he took multiple of like off-screen photos that prove his fucking identity, you dumb idiot. So I'll jump back, but we'll just say that's lie number 1 on Anna Paul's half.
yeah, well, she just thinks she can laugh about it, and just like we always say, if you say something with enough confidence, like a lot of people do believe you, but it's like, yeah, but if you do that and then people disprove you multiple times,
then you look like a fucking psycho.
Yeah.
Also, it is so interesting, like the way she almost got giddy. She's like, oh, I was like, yes, now I can prove she's lying.
Exactly.
Why are you telling us that?
Yeah.
Like, cut that out, girl.
And then she was like,
you know how to do it.
And then it didn't. So it's like, yeah, because no one fucking believes you? Like, what do you mean?
This is us laughing about how gross it is. And she's laughing along. We're both laughing because we're like both like, yuck, what the hell? She's laughing and she knows that it's not true. She knows it's a rumor. She knows people will eat it up, which is why she said it in her podcast, which is ridiculous. Next, my dogs.
Oh, Anna just keeps buying these dogs. The other family members like, oh, Anna just bought these dogs.
My family is so annoyed at me because I just bought all these dogs. This is how old I was when we got my first dog, Angel. I was 8. And when we got my second dog, I was 12. I was not buying all these dogs when I was 8 and 12. And my other dog, Baby, we got when I was 17, and she still lives with my dad to this day.
And then Veruca Salt did a TikTok talking about this, and she goes, so your dog lives in the van with your stinky dad? Oh my God. Veruca, you can't say that, but it is kind of funny. But you can't say that.
It is crazy to look back on all the stuff Veruca had said during that video, and everyone was like, Veruca, you're full of shit, you're crazy. And then she's like,
that's why she's having her moment. Yeah, she's definitely having her moment.
Yeah.
Angel and Ninja both passed away from old age a couple of years ago, but Baby is still loving life. You can see her on my dad's Instagram. She's loving it. She's happy. So I'm not just buying all these dogs.
Look how happy she looks in this video.
The back of her head.
And that I clip their wings and that I them and all these things. So that is obviously not the case. I actually have photos. You can see in all these photos that I've never clipped my bird's wings, which I don't know why she would say that, because you can prove right here in photos. They've never.
I don't know what it looks like.
So proof right here in photos. Yeah. Well, I'll show you, because people were like, well, you're talking about proof. We have proof that you've clipped some of your bird's wings.
Next is that all my birds are dead and that I clip their wings and that I've used them and all these things. So that is obviously not the case.
So Anna says this, yeah, but what's this?
Clipped.
The end of the blue-black wing here.
It literally looks like chopped
the bottom
off.
of the wings here.
Photos, you can see in all these photos that I've never clipped my bird's wings.
Up here.
Oh my God.
There's a better look at
it's like unevenly clipped.
It's from this.
Literally, you could just clip off the ends and they can't fly.
I think so, yeah, because it needs like the whole
aerodynamic,
the whole thing
kinda,
to like be able to. Yeah, it's just. My God. And that's the thing too, is like she's hoping maybe people don't have enough time on their hands. I don't know what she's hoping for, but it's diabolical.
That's how it always
she
is,
talks.
She is the queen
camera.
of reverse receipts for sure.
Literally, I mean, her to be like, why would she even say that if there's proof? Why are you saying that?
Yeah, well, it baffles me when people are that confident with lying, and it's like, but it's online.
It's
like,
scary is what it is. Before we continue, we really quickly want to thank our next sponsor, and that's Lumi.
If you're unfamiliar, Lumi is a whole body deodorant that you can use anywhere on your body.
And when she says anywhere, she means anywhere. Pits, under boobs, thigh folds, belly buttons, butt cracks, vulvas, and feet. That is my favorite part to read, by the way.
I know it is. And that's because it was created by an OBGYN who firsthand saw how normal BO was being mistreated and misdiagnosed.
And they have a bunch of different deodorant product options, like solid deodorant sticks, sweat control deodorants, spray deodorants, creams, everything.
I feel like with Coachella coming up, I'm gonna need to re-up on my wipes situation.
Yes, their deodorant wipes are our absolute favorite because they really, really help control odor. And I just used one before we filmed, actually, because I was outside foraging for rocks. I won't go further. But yeah, I got really sweaty, helped me refresh, put on Lumi deodorant, and I'm good to go for the day.
It's nice when you don't have time to shower.
And the perfect way to try Lumi, if you haven't already, is to try their starter pack, which comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, and 2 free products of your choice, like a mini body wash or the deodorant wipes that we mentioned. And that comes with free shipping.
New customers get 15% off all Lumi products with our exclusive code, Do We Know. If you combine that 15% off with the already discounted starter pack, that equals over 40% off the starter pack, which is a great deal.
Again, that's code Do We Know for 15% off your first purchase at LumiDeodorant.com. That's LumiDeodorant.com.
And when they ask you how you heard about them, tell them the girlie sent you. It really helps us out.
And thank you so much, Lumi, for being an amazing sponsor of this podcast.
And I actually know exactly where all my birds are with receipts, okay? So I had Quakesy, and he passed away last year, and he was my treasure, and I had him for majority of my life. Then I had 3 other birds. Now, these birds hated each other. They didn't get along. Every time I had them out together, they would just attack each other, and it was a constant struggle trying to keep them from biting each other. So I thought for them to have the best life possible, I'll rehome them. I'll rehome them so they don't have to constantly be attacked by another.
Maybe that's something you should consider before you get pets. I don't know. I mean, there could be like a freak accident where like one bird just comes in and it's a whole mess. 3 birds extra and they all hate each other. Sounds like you fucked up.
Not to mention, doesn't she live in like a fucking mansion? Have them each in different cages in different rooms. Like,
yeah, I know. There's no excuse for, first of all, for clipping their wings, but second of all, just like having them in an environment where they're all like hurting each other.
Yeah, well, did she get all 3 at once?
It sounds like it, right? That's what I'm saying. It's like, did you just bring them all in and not consider that they would possibly like hate each other?
So I'll put up screenshots. My dad helped me rehome them, and here you can see.
Your dad helped you rehome them. You couldn't even fucking be bothered to do it yourself, but you love them so much,
your
right?
dad that also has
taken your dog because you don't want it anymore.
That.
She shows this text message that says, "Hi mate, I bought the Myers parrot from you. I'd like to offer $1,000 for your kaiki.
I don't think it's caca.
For your Ken come over this afternoon." So you weren't rehoming them to loving homes. You were selling them for money when you were already rich. Got it.
That's it. Birds are expensive. Fuck.
They are, yeah.
I care so much about where they went. It was such a big deal.
I cared so much that as soon as their Venmo transfer went through, I said, "Here, have it." It's like, so you didn't fucking care.
Like
Fuck
that
off.
person, the fact that they're texting me like, "Hey, I bought this other parrot from you because you probably don't know who I am." Like,
oh my God, that's so true.
To a loving home, that they're rehomed properly. That, for example, in one of the screenshots, you'll see that somebody from a different state wanted to buy one of the birds, and I refused to sell to him because there is no way I'm putting my bird on a plane and putting him at risk of getting traumatized.
or it was just not a convenient
Too much
sell.
trouble?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
literally the fact that she just showed that, where it's like, I cared so much about where they went, but that you didn't even know the person that you sold it to when they
Insane.
reached out for the next one.
And you couldn't even be bothered to sell them or rehome them yourself. It's just complete bullshit.
I wanted them to have the most smooth transition into their new home, so
You
I
just
refused
wanted
to
it to
sell.
be easy.
And that is because I care a lot about where my animals go. I think it's disgusting that she used my bird Quakesy as a punchline and as like content in her podcast. Like, that is disgusting to me. He meant the world to me. And I've never posted this because why would I? It's weird. I've never posted this, but for the sake of this video, I will post it. So cool.
Wait till you
Quakesy
see
passed
this
away
receipt.
last year, and I've put him in my home somewhere where every single morning I can say good morning to him and I can say good night to him because
She just shows his urn. And also, people have pointed out, and Mikaela has pointed out herself, and I think Veruca as well, he was way too young to die. He died probably because he was neglected. Obviously, speculation, but he shouldn't have died according to his life expectancy. This receipt in general is
so
batshit.
weird.
It's like, so he died and you didn't like throw him in your backyard? Congratulations.
Yeah,
You didn't,
literally,
put
she's
him
like,
in the garbage?
no, he's on a bookshelf. That means I loved him.
I don't understand.
because he meant the world to me. So for her to use him is just
Oh, here it comes.
disgusting to me. It's just disgusting to me. My horses, I have one horse who I love. He has
Gorgeous.
the best life you can imagine. He lives
is.
in one of the top riding schools in Australia. He gets professionally ridden twice a week. He gets rugged every day. He has a huge paddock to run around in. He has the best life. And I'm seeing comments about me having a second horse. If anybody finds my second horse, please let me know. Oh, and my cat, by the way. Glenn and I bought a cat together, and this cat was Glenn's life. So when we split, we decided that he will live with Glenn along with my dog Prince because they bonded so well.
You can't sneak Prince in there
Yeah,
like
I was like,
that.
whoa. I thought the other dogs died of old age. The one went to your. Where did this one come from? And what?
Prince.
You
And
gave
Prince,
him
come
to
on,
your
just Prince.
boyfriend? Are you
Yeah.
kidding?
You didn't give a shit, and it doesn't mean the same thing that it means for most people when we separate from our pets. Like, it doesn't mean that to her. It's obvious.
You would never be. Well, they bonded, so I just like, I don't fucking care if they bonded. I'm not giving up my
Yeah.
dog. Like, are you joking?
My brother had a cat, my mum had a cat. I didn't have a cat for a year and a half. And then last year I bought myself a cat as well. And
Oh,
he's
that's
living
the other
happily
two.
ever after.
Oh, okay.
His name is Poops. He's so cute. So yeah, just want to say that. I think that this whole thing, this whole animal thing is just one huge projection from Mikaela. Because the second her cat was a minor inconvenience to her, she had her assistant drive her cat to the closest shelter and dump him. Where is your cat, Mikaela?
He looks
Where
like Jasmine.
Was he home to?
So cute.
You don't know because you don't care.
So now she's calling out Mikaela for doing the same thing she's done 15 times. So Mikaela actually does address this. So let's watch that. Okay, girlies, sorry to interrupt, but unfortunately, Mikaela has deleted the TikTok that we reacted to. And you would think by now I would have learned to save everything the moment we're reacting to it, but apparently not. However, luckily, our mixers do record the audio that we're reacting to, so we have all of the audio from the TikTok. So I'm going to jump back and forth in between, kind of like summarizing what she said, so you guys can hear for yourself what she had to say. But I do find it interesting that she deleted this TikTok out of all of the ones where she's addressing Anna's allegations against her. And the reason why I think it was her that deleted it and not TikTok is because in it, she actually mentions that she was like hesitant to talk about this.
And I have no issue. I've responded to comments about how I rehomed Mikkel. At first, I was hesitant to talk about it, but I've been answering comments. To act like when he's a minor inconvenience, the second he's a minor inconvenience, I go and dump him at a shelter. I paid money and I took him to Cat Haven, which is the best reviewed adoption center for animals in Perth.
So it's obviously something that she is kind of ashamed of. And honestly, I think rightfully so, because her excuse for getting rid of Mikkel is, quite frankly, that he was just too difficult. She said that he was too rough with the other cats, and then she showed this video of Mikkel playing with, I believe it was Anna's cat, and then in it she says, I just don't like that he's biting down a little bit too hard.
Mikkel, that's too much. I don't know, they play, but like, I feel like Mikkel just bites him a tiny little bit too hard because he has like little scratches all over his head. So do we just like leave it and he'll grow up and just get up and... Because he cries when it's too much. He cries when Mikkel puts his mouth around his neck.
To be honest, as a cat owner, I didn't personally see their playing as something very, very rough. If a cat wanted to hurt another cat, it would not look like they were just playing, and it literally just looked like they were like rolling around on the couch and playing. You know what I mean? But then she goes on to explain that Mikkel just started peeing everywhere. In their shoes, on the floor. She said specifically that Mikkel would seek out the spots where Anna's dogs were peeing, and then he would pee on that.
I wore a pair of shoes that had piss in it, and I didn't even realize.
Piss on the floor. I think a cat literally peed on the carpet.
When Mikkel started peeing on top of baby's piss, remember how I posted all those videos in my podcast about how their dog would shit and piss all over the carpet? My cat started to do it on top of the exact spots where she would do it. This is when Glenn was eating his food and Mikkel pissed right next to him on the counter.
Lily and I talk about this in a second, so I'll just leave that part of it. But that was essentially it. She says that he was peeing everywhere, and then he was just like a little bit too rough, and he was always difficult, and that basically she was like insulted that Anna would even bring this up because Anna knew how much Mikkel meant to her.
I loved Mikkel so much, and I tried to make it work for 3 years. 3 years. He was doing this for 3 years. They would get truly hurt by Mikkel. As I said, Mikkel would attack me, and he's done this since he was a kitten. I would leave to go to the shops, and I would come back, and there would be piss all over my bed. These issues just kept happening, and I just felt like it was an instinctual instinct from him, and he would be better suited in a one-person cat home, a one-cat home.
I'll save my thoughts because we get to it in a second, but honestly, I don't feel like any of those are a great reason to get rid of a cat. I think that there's training and many steps that you can take before you get rid of them. So while I do think it was a deflection tactic from Anna Paul, it doesn't take away the fact that I don't think it was right or a good reason to rehome Mikkel. Anyway, sorry, I promise I'll save TikToks from now on. Okay, bye. So obviously she did get rid of her cat, which is it's an interesting topic that I think a lot of people have a lot of feelings towards. And I mean, I've said it before, I think that should be an absolute last resort. I also think that if the cat already had behavioral issues, you shouldn't have gotten 2 more kitties. And just in general, I feel like that behavior is probably indicative of something. Like cats don't just do that.
That's what I was just going to say. That's weird. Like cats just pissing randomly on the floor. Like that's the best part about cats is that you don't have to train them because they just know to go to the litter box.
Some cats have like I think it's called like spraying issues where they will do that. But then it's usually some issues with location or cleanliness of the litter box. And there's a lot of different elements that could be going on there. And I question, because like she's not, like she says she tried to make it work, but I also question like what did she do to really make that work? Because it does seem like she just got over it and was like, fuck it, I'm not dealing with this anymore. And that should be a last resort. And it's not comparable also when you, I mean, flashback that picture of like 1,000 animals she's gotten.
Yeah.
that's a little bit more unforgivable because it's like, then stop fucking getting animals. That is stupid.
Now, next is that she's so concerned about all my underage fans. Okay, now she didn't show a receipt, but I will. Here are my analytics. You can see that 93.8% of my followers are over the age of 18, which means majority of my following are adults, okay? And I just find it very interesting that while all this drama is going on that she kicked off about her being concerned about my fans and they're all underage and she's so worried, what does she post on her Instagram while all eyes are on her, while her views would be higher than ever, of actual children wanting to know, oh, what's the tea? What's Mikaela going to say about Anna? What does she do? She posts slide after slide after slide on her Instagram story of a link to her other page where you can buy videos of her and her partner.
But was she offering the money to do so? Because you conveniently left that out of the accusation she made.
The issue was not that you have an OnlyFans and that you link it. The issue was that you were incentivizing people that otherwise may not be interested in pursuing your sex work, you know, for viewing pleasure. It would incite them to go and look at it. So yes, that could make it so that a person that's too young is like, but I could use $500. Like,
well, that's the thing. I was like, and I don't even think it was necessarily just like that minors are being asked to look at like porn, basically. It's that even 18-year-olds, it's like college kids that are like, oh my God, I could use the money. So they're being incentivized to give you money in the hopes
but she
of
skirts
making
right past
more money.
that and goes straight into whataboutism. And just wait, because now she's going to drop some new allegations on Mikaela.
Great.
And let me just say, I haven't talked about my other site on TikTok in years, and I've promoted it maybe twice in the last 12 months on Instagram. Yet she's so concerned that I'm so disgusting. And you know what? Since we're out here clarifying absolutely everything, I don't do anything crazy on there. I haven't even shown my bare chest on there. Yet she's so concerned for all my underage fans. How does that make sense? I don't understand. Let's continue.
And I don't know how else to fucking say it.
I'm kind of over it.
Hans Paul is homeless.
Okay, now I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna skip over the Hans Paul being fucking homeless part
kinda
because
over it.
yeah, I'm over it. And honestly, at the end of the fucking day, is it not nice if you're rich and you're letting your father struggle for money? Yeah, it's not nice. But her father's an adult. Her mother's an adult.
We don't know their family dynamics.
No, so she shows a few receipts here and shows that she gives money to her dad every month, a couple $1,000s, and then also says that like he not only approved of her showing those screenshots, but also wanted her to include a picture of him like showing his middle finger and like said like that's for Mikaela is what he said allegedly. And all I have to say about that is like,
stop
this
using
is her
your dad
family.
as a pawn.
I really just don't need to venture out into this anymore. We have an episode on it, and quite frankly, whether he wants to live in the van, he doesn't want to live in the van, it's not relevant to the situation.
And also,
I think
it's
that there's
not
much
productive
bigger
to
things
talk
at
about
hand.
any of it.
No, but she does now get into the fat comments, and that I do think we should talk about.
Next is the fact that she said that I call everybody fat. Apparently, I'm just out there calling everybody fat, and she obviously came up with that because she knows that I'm a very body positive person, and that is one of the things I stand for online. So she wanted to take that away from me, and she came out with a story saying that I call
or
her
you just call people fat.
She was like,
or she was bringing it up because of that. It makes it relevant.
She found a screenshot of me using the word fat, and she's like, now look, Anna's calling people fat. Now let me explain this screenshot because she didn't explain it, but I will. I'll show the whole screenshot with context that she conveniently left out, of course. So this is regarding Glenn's
so
father.
like condescending.
I'm like, oh, you never do that though.
Glenn and I have struggled with our weight for a long time. We were trying to eat healthy, but we were just unhealthy. And so was Glenn's father. Until Glenn's father made a change, he started eating very healthy. Glenn's father's diet changed completely. And when I started going to Glenn's house, his dad would make me soups, all these vegetables. He would make these little pizzas with like cauliflower bottoms. Like, he was eating so healthy, but still drinking a lot of alcohol. And he wasn't losing weight, and we didn't know why. Then I came across this TikTok of a guy who does experiments of himself.
The screenshot is of a TikTok of a guy doing some experiment, eating only KFC. And then Anna says, guy gains more weight drinking alcohol every day for 30 days than he does when he ate KFC every day for 30 days. He had 3 to 5 full KFC meals for 30 days straight, and 30 days of alcohol made him gain more weight. Holy shit. And then Atis responded, that's insane, while working out and eating healthy. And then she continues on to say, goes to show unhealthy food isn't a crazy worry. People get the C word and shit, so cancer, because they have alcohol every day and that's considered quote unquote normal, and KFC is quote unquote bad for you. When in reality, the glass of wine they have every night is the real enemy. Healthy food means nothing when you have alcohol with it every day. Glenn, send that vid to your dad. Maybe he'll stop drinking alcohol. We should ask him because he's way too fat for what he apparently eats. And then Atis just said, yep, and they continue on. So that was a screenshot that Mikaela showed that we didn't show because she was going to show it here anyway. And it's her just like describing him as fat.
Kind of a weird way to frame it. Like, I feel like you could have been a little more sensitive in how you delivered that sentiment.
Okay, 100%. I would personally, I would cry. Like if I read that someone was just calling me fat out front, but also
it might be why
she
he's
tries
struggling
to say now
lose
that
weight.
fat is not a bad word in their house. Fat is not bad, and they just say it. And I will say, maybe some people do operate that way. I think a lot of people, if we're being real with ourselves, equate that as like an insult, and it shouldn't be, because fat is just a thing we have on all of our bodies.
And the thing is, though, is why it's an insult is because fat is a subjective term. You could call someone fat, like, what is fat? There's no definitive parameter where it's like,
correct,
if you're this much overweight. So when you say fat, it's like a derogatory, like, it's not the noun fat. It's like, no, you're describing someone as fat. That usually means it's like they're overweight to a point that it's noticeable, at least. But I feel like she could have very easily just said, this could be why your Glenn's dad is struggling to lose weight.
Yeah, I think that just the fact that she threw it around is the jarring part, because unless it's true and her house really just was like a judgment-free zone, it's just Planet Fitness up in this bitch, it just feels like the more likely scenario is that she probably throws the word around a lot, like she's being accused of, like multiple people have accused her of saying about her ex-boyfriend. But then skipping forward, because I do find a lot of this to be a little bit nonsense, but you can go check it out for yourself. It's still on her TikTok. She posts multiple messages with Mikaela, because Mikaela said that Anna would make fun of her a lot behind her back, and obviously she didn't have proof for that, so I didn't include it. It was just like her experience and what she found out later on. And one of the things she says that Anna would say about her was that her eyes were too close together. And so Anna like tried to disprove this and show that like Mikaela would ask her like, do I need eyeliner? Like, I don't want to look fucked like this girl. Like, I want to look better, whatever. Just these weird insecure messages.
Well, and there's no way to disprove that there's no way you could say, I've never said this, because you don't have.
No, but she's trying to show the dynamic in the conversation where Mikaela's like, do I look like her without eyeliner? And then she's like, no, not even close. And it's just this like whole back and forth of her trying to support her friend, quote unquote.
But that's not the same as talking behind your back and saying like, exactly. That's totally different.
And then another thing that she shows is that Mikaela was talking a lot about like her struggles with mental illness. And then she has voice notes of just like trying to comfort her and be there for her. I really just don't know what the fuck that proves, to be honest.
All of her receipts are like, look, I was nice this time. That means I can't be mean ever.
Yes. I will say the most, I guess you could say like damning receipt, or receipt that just is like, ooh, okay, is a voice note that she ends this entire TikTok with.
My goal is to make sure she doesn't fucking post a thing. Because remember how I told you she would always copy me, she would always steal my stories, steal my personality, everything, the car idea, all of that. She stole it from me. I'm supposed to be the one with 7 million followers. I'm going to be vlogging after this, and everyone's going to need someone to watch, because everyone's addicted to watching her, that they're going to watch me, and I'm going to live that life that I should have had. And this doesn't come from jealousy. This just comes from a siphoning energy bitch.
Well, yeah, no, that's
That's pretty fucked.
That's like, what's the motive here? And that's the motive,
Yeah, that is a hard watch.
Also interesting, because do you remember Mikaela even said in one of her videos when she first was exposing Anna, or she posted, I think maybe it was an Instagram story, she said something like, don't come to me for your new person to watch.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like specifically said the opposite of what she just said there.
Fuck me. That's
that's very interesting.
And again, there's no perfect victim. There's no perfect person in this story, but that is pretty fucked.
In terms of copying her, Anna seems to be kind of echoing the exact same thing that Mikaela had said about her upbringing. Like, she was getting help from the government for food and stuff. And then Anna posts a video and it's like, we had to go to homeless shelters and we lived off this. And like, it was very similar. It seems maybe there was a growing resentment if she was copying her or if she just felt she was copying her, but that's pretty wild.
Yeah. She goes into into that in the actual podcast. She talks about how much she felt like Anna was copying her. And I don't know where it was. I'm trying to find it now, but I did see her say that she does feel like Anna copied her and like she thinks that she really did something essentially with that ending. But I'm like, I mean, it's pretty bad.
It doesn't mean that all the stuff she's saying isn't true, but it does question the motivation of like, are you doing this because you think Anna's a bad person, or are you doing this because you felt like this was your opportunity to get back at her?
Yeah. Another thing that Anna did address was the Pimentori situation. She says that the house is not demolished, and then she shows a proof of like some sort of Google Earth image. But then Mikaela in her Instagram stories put a Google Maps thing that did show that allegedly the house is demolished. I think it's insane to have to demolish a house because dogs pee in it. Like I would imagine you could like redo the drywall and like, to demolish
I was like,
it.
you redo the flooring. But it is crazy because it's the way she did it is like, on Google Earth, you can look back at different snapshots of time. So it's like, I could look up my address right now, but I could look at what my address looked like in 2018. And Anna specifically went to an old one to not show which is crazy. Who sent that voice?
I don't know.
Because
I don't know. Someone Mikaela trusted.
Was it Corinna and that's why she turned on her?
Oh my God. Actually, that's interesting. That's a good theory.
If anything, it maybe makes you question some of the things that didn't have super solid receipts that were a little more petty. But like the most important stuff, I feel like we've seen receipts for, and it's like, okay, well, you can't deny that.
Yeah. And also, again, like big things like the essay and how detailed she does get in describing it. I'm sorry. I can't believe that someone's lying about that. That literally goes against my like own brain. So like, I just feel like she really obviously did experience some fucked up shit. However, I do think she did fucked up shit as well. Yeah. Again, front and center in the Alice video, behind the scenes, probably said some fucked up shit. Look at the text of her like, I want to kill her. Like, I know. She was very, very toxic. For sure.
And it's crazy though, when you think of like, oh, Anna suddenly doesn't want to speak on Atis's relationships and like doesn't want to talk about that and does allude to everything being lies. But do you think, especially after we saw that she made a whole video trying to discredit and debunk all of Alice's stuff, you think that if this was a blatant lie, she wouldn't have come out and absolutely defended Atis with her whole chest? Like, no.
Oh, 100%.
This wouldn't be the time that she sits back and is like, well,
she's like, no, he's on his Instagram doing his thing and I'll just do mine.
So it's
Get out
like,
of here.
not only do I think that would be crazy to make up and it's very specific details and stuff, but also, do you think Anna would just sit there and be like, well, I'm not going to speak on it? Absolutely not.
Yeah, so Atis's Instagram post, skipping a lot of it because it's a lot of denying the essay, but also simultaneously saying they were very toxic and like he doesn't really understand why she had to bring that to social media. I'm really not interested in reading his statement, to be honest. However, I do want to show really quickly the OnlyFans screenshots that he posted because it coincides with what we've already talked about. So this is the comparison to when he managed her page versus when he didn't. However, he had access to both screenshots. So I'm like, how do we know which one was which? Or like when you
also,
I don't know,
there's no proof to show what was changing, what made these rise and fall. And also, I don't care how much you made her. 50% is absurd.
Yeah. And then he says, she told you that I definitely didn't use any of the money to fund promos. I was robbing her. I won't bother posting everyone, but here are just a few of the hundreds of promos I paid for. You've got some for a couple thousand, you've got some for a couple hundred, and it's to random people. I will say, whenever I see a ton of screenshots like this, it really, to me, I'm like, I don't know what to do. There's no like agreements here. I don't know that you're paying this person for a promo. I don't know anything.
Very pixelated also. And it's just like, even if you were doing that.
And when you have that much money, you paying a bunch of people, they could have been doing chores for you. I don't fucking know why you're paying them.
They could have been anything.
Look at this one. Look at this one. Is this not insane? How am I supposed to read through this? What is this?
I'm not going to keep posting slide after slide, but you get the point. Yeah, I get the point that looks like literally some of the same screenshots just duplicated.
Hi, girlies. Just wanted to chime in with an update of my own because I had mentioned that this basically looked like he had just like copy and pasted the exact same thing multiple times. And I was kind of kidding, but kind of not. And then I looked a little closer afterwards and, well, I was right. So, I mean, even if these were not duplicated, this is pointless. Like, first of all, they're so pixelated, you can't even see anything. And then second of all, like, what are you proving here? But what I would like to prove is that the Pauls are liars, as we've already assumed. But let's take a closer look. In this one alone, there are 3 that he didn't even separate them. They are quite literally right next to each other. And then there's also a 4th, 5th, and 6th. There honestly might be more, but I kind of gave up because I was over it. But I did want to show a few of them. So these are the ones with the red outline. If you drag them on top of each other and change the blend mode so we can like see through it basically, you can slide them on top of each other and see not only is the text the exact same length, like it is the exact same amount of characters, but if you look closely, like yeah, they're pixelated, but you can still see some shapes. If you line these up perfectly, it is the exact same thing. And honestly, I didn't even need to do that because you can also see that it is the exact same time that these were taken. Like he literally just put the same thing twice. And again, he didn't do this once, he didn't do it twice. He did it at least 7 times just on this slide. The other slide had some as well, but I just don't have time to do all of this. Here's another example. It's the ones in purple. Well, first of all, you could see it's the same amount, and these ones don't have the same time, it doesn't look like, but if we just slide this one over here, weird, that seems to line up exactly the same. It's almost like he duplicated the same one because he didn't have that many examples and wanted to prove a point. And lastly, here are the ones in green, the ones that are literally right next to each other. And you can see they all have the exact same timestamp. And then I will quickly show that you can also overlay those and they're the same. I think we can all confirm that Atis is full of shit and so is Anna, but like especially Atis, because like what the fuck is this? Anyway, that's all I wanted to chime in with, but hope you enjoyed this nerdy update of mine. Back to us.
You could have very easily dedicated 1 slide or 2 slides to one very detailed, this is how the promo post would work. At least give us some sort of like due process here, not just a bunch of random PayPal transactions that I don't know what any of them mean. With your track record and your sister's track record, I'm a little tentative to just believe you. Sorry.
Well, even like a video where you could pause and see the individual ones, not like this like pixelated like collage that you can't even actually see anything.
He did show this like WhatsApp conversation where he was showing someone the like caption that he wanted them to post, and it does show that it's for Mikaela, and then it says posted, like a few messages of people posting pictures.
This is so weird.
So it's like 3, 4 examples. The PayPals were like 1,000 examples,
and
but
it's
these
like the same
just a few.
Picture. So
it's the
like,
same day. Yeah. So you did it once.
Yeah.
Now, something that he alleges, and Mikaela has not spoken out about it. I don't know if she just doesn't want to address the Atis stuff at all. I honestly kind of understand that, but what he alleges is that she kind of like coerced him into creating OnlyFans content, and like the first one that she posted with them was one that he didn't want up and that she put up anyway. Essentially, is what he says. And then he started doing it after, but it's like one of the biggest regrets of his life.
Does he have an OnlyFans too?
No, he doesn't. He was just on hers.
Okay.
And then shows like text messages just of like how toxic it was. But to be quite honest, like the denial of her essay and like his reasoning being like, oh, she was recovering from a surgery. It's like impossible for me to have done that. And I'm like,
what?
It just was, yeah, that's what he says.
Wouldn't that
and
be more of a reason to think that it could have happened?
Well, she literally says she was on pain medication.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. So it just was so triggering that I really cannot get into his Instagram stories, but they are still up. If for some reason you want to subject yourself to that. But pretty much that is where we're at. We did skip over a few elements just because it is a lot, but I feel like we covered most of it. So if you've been confused on this whole situation, hopefully this helps you out, because it was a lot for me to go through. Like I was just like so lost at certain points, and then everybody's going in a different direction.
We're filming this a day later because she was like, I don't know what to even...
Literally, it just felt like such a like pool of information. So hopefully it all made sense. And yeah, that's pretty much where we're at. I just have a sneaking suspicion we're not going to be hearing about this from Anna or Atis anytime soon, and they're just going to tuck their tails and just keep moving.
Well, it took them this long to gather all of this and make sure that they had all their ducks in a row, which guess what?
Right.
The ducks are not in a row. But yeah, I'll link all of the stuff below. The Atis post, the Anna video, the 2 podcasts from Mikaela, and then I'm not going to link all of Mikaela's individual ones, but she's been responding to a bunch on her TikTok.
Yeah, for sure. And she's also mentioned that she is doing a 3rd episode of her podcast that is going to include all of his like tumultuous past on like dating websites. Apparently he's like verbally said some really fucked up shit to women on dating sites, and they've come forward. So fun times.
That family seems like they don't understand that the internet is
a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, hi again. Okay, coming in one last time because there was one allegation that I forgot to talk about. Like I said, there was a lot going on, so something was bound to slip through the cracks, but Anna kind of like slipped in there an allegation of Mikaela being inappropriate with minors. And I don't know how I forgot to mention this because the person that she's alleging she was with when he was a minor is Kid Leroy.
She dated the Kid Leroy when he was underage, and then years later went to his concert, filmed herself crying at his concert, and then made that a whole content situation.
She says that he was underage when they were together, and it does seem like that's the case, but some people are saying he was 15 and some people are saying he's 16. The only reason why that would even be relevant is because the age of consent in Australia for many places is 16, which I find fucking weird, but that's how it operates. So I don't know if he was 15 or 16, but he was significantly younger than her. And then Anna goes on to show these screenshots of her in a group chat allegedly with minors and showing them like naked pictures. Now, Mikaela has addressed both of these, and this is what she has to say in Instagram stories after Anna went live with her TikTok. Mikaela said, "Her BS claims about me and minors are insanity. It's not even me in those text screenshots texting. I addressed this on TikTok. She couldn't even scribble out the profile picture properly to match her narrative of it being me. You can see that it's not. She knows claims like this stick to a person and her brain dead fans are eating it up. It's wild. Oh my fucking God. Another thing to deflect blame for what her family has done to many." So when I looked back on the screenshots, it does seem like one of the pictures that Anna is claiming is Mikaela. It doesn't match the profile picture of Mikaela currently. So one of them does. You could see that it currently has Mikaela's profile picture, but this other screenshot, unless it was taken a very long time ago, I'm really not sure what Mikaela's past profile pictures were. It does not match. So that is a little bit weird. However, Mikaela does say that she addressed it on TikTok. So I went and looked, and this is her addressing it.
And there's one photo of me and a certain individual from the industry always being brought up, always being used. That photo of us was taken before we even really knew each other. That was the first time we met, and that photo was used by his friend. It was like Polaroids, and it was also put on SoundCloud at some stage. This person had told me they were older. All of their friends were way older, my age, and they were going to venues where you needed to be 18 plus 4. I was deceived. I did not have any relations with this person. As I said, I saw this person a year and a half later when they were of age, of consent, and I'm never going to hear the end of it. This person does not deserve to be brought up all the fucking time. Like, can we just leave the past in the past? And those screenshots she put up of an alleged conversation between people that were underage or this and that, that photo that she blurred is not even I'm covered in that photo. The shirt I'm wearing is Atis' shirt. The background is the bedroom that we had. Then when I read the chats, I realized I was in a group chat with all of my friends, and there was 2 boys in it. They were saying they were 18. And the timestamp where the photo was sent, that's not the time that photo was sent. It's performative. It's performative to the public. I don't even know what happened to that chat. My account is gone. If there is any screenshots from before 2022, that's not even real. That's not my Instagram account. This is a new Instagram account. During mine and A's relationship, I would text people on Instagram and send cheeky-ish photos to my OF subscribers. It was all promo and all work, and none of these pics are knackered. None of them. And they were saying they were 18. They were subbed. Like, oh my God. And I can't even tell those screenshots are real. Because as I said, in that photo, I was dating Atis, and I would have got, if he caught me doing that, that was OF stuff.
Yeah, so obviously there's no way to tell for sure what happened. Her side of the story is that she's denying everything. But unless Kid Leroy speaks out, which I sincerely doubt is going to happen, nobody's really going to know. So this kind of went nowhere, and I just feel icky about it in general. I feel like Anna's using it as a pawn, similar to what she did with the cat thing, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't have any legitimacy to it. Again, it's hard to say what age Kid Leroy actually was, if he was 15 or 16. If he was 16, that would have made him legal in Australia and in even some states in America. So it's just all confusing. However, Mikaela's verbiage of like, we didn't do anything till a year and a half later, it's kind of giving he was 15, because if he wasn't, then she would have just said, oh no, he was 16 and he was legal. So I just think at this point, everything's just gotten super toxic and I'm kind of over it. However, a really quick update before I go is that Anna Paul has deleted the 26-minute TikTok. I went to go find it to react to this certain part of it for this voiceover, and it wasn't there. It is possible that TikTok took it down because she's mentioning Mikaela's name, and like the harassment policies on TikTok are pretty strict. But yeah, it's no longer there. So that's just interesting. Anyway, that's all the updates for now. Bye-bye. Anyway, we have never needed a We Love the Internet more than right now. So shall we?
Yes.
Do you want to see a toddler's reaction to puppies drinking water and then licking her face, or someone with a 1-month-old goat? See, 2 animal options for you.
I was going to say, wow, you're really hitting me with a hard decision.
Yes.
I'm going to go with the first one.
Okay, period.
Sticky. Oh, what?
She was so grossed out and I was cracking up. It's very funny. I mean, dog tongue kisses, it's not for everyone. Okay, Queen? Like, I get it.
That she's like still holding out the cup there. Just
Ew. She loves it.
We'll do a not dog one today.
Oh, interesting. We switch places.
Okay, this has copyrighted music, but I think we might be able to play. It like changes at a certain point. I think we can play it once it changes. It says, discovering educational television channels as a kid. And it's like giving examples and it's like PBS. And it's like a dog running up. And then I don't know what the first ones were. And then she walks into a dark room and it's like TLC.
Oh my God.
And the music gets all dark. And it's just like My Strange Addiction kind of situation. The girl's like eating chapstick.
I used to be an avid watcher of, what was it? Intervention. Oh my God, that show is so dark. And I would watch it. I was like, fucking 12. Like, why?
It's funny because I feel like now a lot of the time I'm like with My Strange Addiction specifically, it's like, okay, is that real or are they just like doing this for the show? But it's like,
I think that one lady really ate her couch and I choose to.
Well, no, but I'm like, but I feel like that's now I'm questioning it. Back in the day when it was like before social media was like going viral was such a thing, I don't think those people were kidding.
Yeah. TLC has always been a different breed.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, guys, if you made it to the end of this one, thank you very much for sticking with us. I know it was a long one, but I think it was needed.
Thank you for staying on this journey and get ready for next journey.
As always, we hope you have a wonderful week and we will see you on Friday. Bye.
Yes.